Hey, ho, ho, welcome friends. It's another one of our Slant Alpha adventures getting underway. We are live from Studio 5 just outside of Ocean City, Maryland. Here in the sim, we are just outside of Albuquerque, New Mexico. We're at Belen Regional, although in the sim I discovered that it was not called Belen Regional. It's not called Belen Regional, and it's also not called Belen Regionable. However, I found that it didn't seem to line up with the ICAO code that was given in Skyvector for this airport. Strangely enough, I tried to load in at KBRG, which is indeed the code for Belen Regional, as confirmed here by Skyvector, but it was sending me to Bridgeport, and I don't know if that's Bridgeport, Connecticut, or some other Bridgeport. What I assume happened is that Bridgeport either got downgraded or closed, and the ICAO code was then recycled and used for Belen Regional. This apparently used to be called Alexander, and what did I say in the Discord announcement? Echo 80. So yeah, if you are, and this is, I mean, you know, these are named similarly in this region here. So we got Mid Valley was Echo 98. That was the one that we stopped at just prior to landing here. So looks like Echo 0 is over here, Moriarty Municipal. So Echo 92 is Estancia Municipal. So yeah, this apparently used to be Echo 80 or 90, whatever I just said. Every time I turn away, I forget. But yeah, so if you're trying to spawn in here, it looks like Echo 80 will get you here. But BRG is going to take you to Bridgeport. Now, that's true for Flight Sim 2020. I have no idea what the situation is with the scenery in X-Plane 11 or 12, or Flight Sim 2024, or any other sim that you may be using. So at least that'll help you out if you're flying in Flight Sim 2020 like we are. That kind of looks like Freckles at the wheel of that plane, doesn't it? Although we know that Freckles used to fly along with us in the WB Sim Cessna 152 when we did seasons 1 through 3 of this series, River Run. Now that we're in season 4, we're traversing down the Rio Grande. We're in the A2A Simulations Piper Comanche. We have our friend Charlie riding along, but Freckles has been nowhere to be found until just now. I guess she's just keeping the seat warm for me. I assume once we get into the aircraft, we won't see her anymore. But there she is. We've missed you, Freckles, and it's good to see you. But you won't be riding along with us. Kenny Monster has stopped in. JJ is here. Quallop is here. Yes, the Comanche is a ton of fun, and we have found that it is a pretty capable short field operator if you are very careful about excess speed and excess altitude. If you've got one or the other, you may be able to manage things. If you've got both, you're in trouble. But we haven't had too bad of an experience so far. We are in this 4th episode now of season 4 of River Run. Belen Regional, as I mentioned, is where we are starting, and we do have a very eager ground controller at Albuquerque. However, we are not going to be working with that person this evening. We are going to depart Belen Regional and continue southbound away from Albuquerque. Our first 2 stops are immediately adjacent to one another, and they're just 7 miles south and east of where we are right now. Skywagon and Flying H, 2 side-by-side private fields. We will then depart, head southbound, follow the river. We got the 7-mile jaunt, and then we got the immediately adjacent field. Then we've got a 32-mile leg to come down here to Socorro Municipal, and then a 51-mile leg. And even though it's a 51-mile straight line, we'll go ahead and follow the river and Interstate 25 just for the easy visual navigation. The series is called River Run, after all. It looks like we will need to make sure that we stay well west, or yeah, at least we don't want to shade east of the riverbank there, because we are endangering ourselves of running afoul of this restricted airspace to the east. And what is this? So this is all White Sands, Alamogordo, some top secret kind of stuff goes on in this area from what I understand. But anyway, so we'll continue down from These two private fields will stop at Socorro, and then down the river for 51 miles, plus the little bit of added distance that we'll incur by going, kind of zigzagging back and forth and following the waterway. And then once we get down to Elephant Butte, Elephant Butte. We'll see the elephant butt there, and then we'll know that we're at our destination. Truth or Consequences is the name of the town. Those of you who know your game show history know that Truth or Consequences was a game show that was on I guess it started on the radio. I knew it from television. Not personally. I was definitely not alive when it was in its heyday. But apparently it was a game show on the radio prior to being a game show on television, and I knew it just through reruns. The Game Show Network was one of the things I watched hours and hours of as a teenager. Well, Truth or Consequences was not the original name of this town. It was called Hot Springs, New Mexico. And March 1950, they changed the name of the town to Truth or Consequences for the sole purpose of having the radio program hosted from the town. And so they they visited the town for the first weekend in May for the next 50 years. So, yeah, so that's the history of the names. One of the strangest place names in the U.S., and of course we've got the VOR named after that location as well. Yeah, it's in the missile range out there, says Kyle Rogers, Mr. Rogers. So, so sorry. So we got the White Sands missile range out there. We want to steer clear of that. We want to stay west of the river. So we shall. Heisenberg is with us. Who else did I miss in the chat? Anybody? No, we don't. Yeah, we don't want to repeat our DC-3 going for a drink in the Med. No, we do not. We don't want to run afoul of any of the military stuff that they've got going on there. All right, so let us hop into the aircraft and get her fired up. Do we have anybody flying along? Not so far. But again, if it's Echo 80 you want to spawn into if you are joining us this evening. Of course, now that we're in the aircraft, there's no sign of freckles. Again, just kind of keeping the seat warm for us. Truth or Consequences and Zizix, probably the top of that list of weird place names. My favorite place names are Truth or Consequences, Crazy Woman VOR, CZI, and then the Whatcom VOR, whose identifier literally is spelled huh. So I think those are probably my top three. All right, let's jump into our flow list here and start firing up this airplane, friends, shall we? Let's unlatch. Well, I'm going to go ahead and pop the window open, but we'll unlatch and then open the door. We'll pop the window open here. Oh my gosh, the radio navigation course on VATSIM, says Heisenberg. I just passed that course test on VATSIM and my head still hurts. Is that part of the new member orientation, Heisenberg? It's that's a pretty thorough new member orientation. Qualip says, I've flown holds at while cross-routing into Abbotsford a couple of years ago. Gorgeous part of the world, yes. I've only had the opportunity to visit the Pacific Northwest in person one time, and that is where my wife and I caught a cruise ship out of Seattle headed up to the southern panhandle of Alaska. But yeah, it is an amazing place. Just ungodly beautiful terrain. Of course, Mount Rainier out there. Yeah, we enjoyed that trip very, very much and hope to get back out there at some point. Relax Portals here says, I've been in Truth or Consequences. It was a district called Elephant Butte. Yes, we did say. And we did say that we were going to see an elephant butt before we touched down there. And the Elephant Butte Reservoir. And I know it's Butte. It's a Butte, Clark. It's a Butte. She's a Butte. Was a spectacular trip indeed, Collip. Yes, 100%. It's become shockingly expensive up there. Yeah, to live, it has been for quite some time. The cruise that we were on, fortunately, was a gift from family. So, you're gonna go. That's the way to go. Alright, so doors and windows are open. Let's get the control lock off. Let's go ahead and get the fuel valve set so that we can check our fuel quality in addition to its quantity when we make ourselves around that way. We'll go ahead and pop open the tablet, pop her in the walk around mode, and let's start by inspecting these flap linkages here. You want to make sure they don't wiggle too much. Of course, when they do wiggle too much, you should replace them, but we've had some issues like not having that option. But you want to check them anyway. At least you'll know the failure's coming. The flap should move freely and not rub or catch anywhere. We don't need to check anything with the tip tank. We will not need that much fuel. The landing light will come around and check again when it's on. We'll take the tie down for now. The fuel, we can go ahead and just fill up the wing tanks. So we'll just have 30 gallons in each wing tank, and we'll go ahead and close that. You want to visually inspect the level to make sure that it's consistent with how much fuel you have asked to be put in there. It looks like it is good, and it also is the correct color, meaning it's the correct type of fuel. We'll pull the wheel chock. This is where we're going to pull a little bit of fuel out of the bottom of the tank. Make sure that it is indeed fuel and not water. We don't inspect to make sure there's no contaminants in that fuel. We're good to go. We'll put it back into the tank and we'll move on. No obstructions in the air intake, and prop is looking like it's undamaged. We'll do a quick oil change for quality and quantity. Once again, quality and quantity of both fuel and oil. It's sitting just above the 9 mark cold, and it is a nice light tan color, so we're good to go there. This is the left-hand wing tank, and again, we're going to just go ahead and fill it up to the very top. And then this one visually looks like it's very, very filled when it hits that 30 mark. But we can indeed get the cap back on without spilling. And again, visually just inspect two things. Number one, that it appears to be the level of fuel that you have asked for it to be. And number two, that it appears to be the right type of fuel based on its color. So we're good there. We're going to pull the chocks, pitot cover, and tie down. We'll check the light on the second pass. Nothing to do with the left-hand tip tank, as we won't need to put any fuel in it. And then again, free movement of the control surfaces. Not too much wiggle in the flap linkage, and no indication of rubbing or catching in between positions there. Static port unobstructed. Final tie down. The stabilator should move freely. Stabilator and is a combination word of stabilizer and elevator. It's one control surface that performs both functions, hence its name. And then the rudder should move, but not quite as freely as it is tied to the nose wheel steering, and that appears to be fine. That static port on the right-hand side is unobstructed. We'll take our toolkit, take my duffel bag, my suitcase, and Charlie's suitcase. No idea who's left their purse on the wing. Probably Freckles, as she was sitting in the plane keeping it warm for us, but hopefully she'll come grab that up before we get going without her. Alright, we got everything. Let's make sure we have everyone. So there's our friend Charlie. And go ahead and come inside. We'll make sure none of the circuit breakers are popped underneath. We'll go ahead and turn the battery switch and all of the light switches on. And we'll make one more quick pass outside the airplane to make sure all the lights are working. We got the green nav light that I accidentally flitted past there. Right-hand landing lights on. Left-hand landing lights on, and we can see from multiple positions. Oh yeah, left nav light red. We can see from multiple positions that the strobe is there, and then the beacon's on the top of the plane turning and illuminated. So we're good to go. We can put that away finally. We can turn the landing lights off and the strobe light off, and we can go ahead and close and latch the door. And I will get the prop and mix full forward while we run the fuel pump rather. And we'll watch the fuel pressure come up. With the fuel pressure up, pull the primer and pull that sucker back maybe about 3 times, 4 times, something like that. 1, 2, 3. Call it 4 for good measure. Okay, we'll relock that. We'll put the mags into right mag, left mag, both mags. Clear, 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 clear. Yeah, throttle out to there. What's our elevation? Yeah, I'm going to pull the mix out about a third of the way because we're at fairly high elevation here. Go ahead and get the starter running. Okay, disengage the starter. Oil pressure did indeed come up right away. Let's get the throttle to the point where it's 1,000 RPMs. We'll lean the mix out. Running a little rough because I think I didn't lean the mix enough for that start at the high elevation that we're at. So there seems to be our peak power, and then we'll lean it to the point where it starts to drop, which is right there. And we'll reset it to 1,000 RPMs and let it warm up. Nice and gently there. We'll go ahead and close the winders up. Since we've got the engine running, it should be supplying its own fuel pressure, so I'm going to turn the electric fuel pump off and make sure that the engine still is supplying its own fuel pressure, and is. So we'll go ahead and get the avionics on, and we'll get the radios on. That includes the transponder and the ADF radio. And what else we need to do here? Kind of going by memory. I think I've got everything here. So we've got an ATIS at Albuquerque. We're not going to be in that airspace, but we can pull that information just to see what they're doing. Temperature's 21, altimeter's 3001, and they're landing and departing runway 21. Just to be on the safe side, we can see if... yeah, we don't have a METAR for Belen Regional, so this is going to be close enough. 3001, and the wind is out of the south, so we'll want to depart southbound, and we're heading southbound anyway, so it makes for a nice, easy, straight out departure. In fact, we've got a 2-1 and a 1-3. Well, I guess if the wind's 19, then 2-1's going to be pretty close to what we want there. So we'll taxi up to the 0-3 direction and depart out in the 2-1 direction. 3001 we said was the altimeter, so I'll spin this back down to right there. The field elevation is what now? 5,200. We're reading 5,300. Why are we that far off? Well, I will tell you, we're going by a METAR that's 20 miles away. Where we are, I guess the pressure is just a little bit lower. So I'll go ahead and... Ooh, 2992 puts us in the ballpark. Let me make sure that we're running real weather. Live weather is indeed on. Okay. Alright, well, we'll tune it based on the field elevation, because that's going to be more accurate than a METAR that's 20-30 miles away, I guess. We'll go by that. And, oh, the other thing we want to know is the Common Traffic Advisory frequency. So it used to be on VATSIM that you would always use 122.8 in a non-staffed area. This one is published as 122.8, so we will use that. However, these two little private ones, they're going to be on 122.9. And there is an article under the VATSIM Pilot Learning Center that explains some of the special use cases, which includes smaller private fields that don't have published frequencies. This one will indeed be 22.8 when we get down there. And then this one will be 22. We're going to be on 22.8 all night except for the two private ones. That's not always the case. Look for other ones here, and that's 22.8, of course. We're going to find more examples to prove the point. Okay, this one is published at 22.9. This one's 22.8. Oh, we got a raid coming in too. I'll catch you guys there in just a moment. 22.95 is this one. So any of these magenta colored airports, will have a published frequency, and it may or may not be 22.8. So 22.9 there, 23.0 here at Los Alamos. All right, so 22.8 and then 22.9 is the 2 private ones, and then we'll be back on 22.8 for the rest of the evening. So we'll go ahead and get that. Oh, it looks like my radios were already set up that way. We are also monitoring COM 2, which is the guard frequency, in case we need to be raised by any air traffic controllers. We're monitoring that appropriately, although the entirety of our trip this evening is going to be in Class Echo and Golf airspace, so we will not be in, since we're VFR, and we're not in Bravo, Charlie, or Delta airspace all night, and we're not operating at any towered fields. We will not be in any situation where it's required for us to talk to air traffic control. So they shouldn't need to raise us, but we'll monitor guard, just because that's what we're pretending we're good pilots, and good pilots would do that. So we had the raid coming in from Rat Hole 80. Rat Hole, thank you very kindly for that. We appreciate the support. Yeah, it looks like a fun flight tonight. We were flying in Texas, a little further in. Okay, I gotcha. Yeah, we're doing this series that we call River Run. We're following the Rio Grande, and this is episode 4 of this 4th season of River Run. Departing from Belen, we got these 2 little private strips to hit. Then we're going to stop at Socorro, and then continue down south to end up at Truth or Consequences. So that is our itinerary for this evening. Since we are on such a short little hop, let's go ahead and preview Skywagon. If we right-click, open a new tab, and let's take a look at what we've got there. It is a 2 and 2-0, so we're going to go ahead and land on 2-0, 1,100-foot turf, so not a big field here, 30 feet wide. So it's going to be a bit of a challenge. A bigger challenge, I think, will be to spot it. But we'll have to see if we can spot a runway 20 when we get down there. Didn't we say this one was 20? This is 21. We're going to depart from 21. We're going to head off 7 miles in the 140 direction, and then we're going to be looking for a 20 over here. So that'll be our first challenge, is just seeing the airport, I think. All right, we've calibrated our altimeter. Let's calibrate our directional gyro. We're parked at a 305. Yeah, we're not at all showing that here. Get that corrected. All right, Rat Hole, thank you very kindly for bringing the raid over. Anybody coming over from the stream there? I hope that you all had a good one, and we'll hang out and enjoy what we've got going on for you this evening. We're we're departing on a 21. Our on course is a 140. 7 miles, so we're not going that far. We're on 22.8, and I think we're ready to go. Taxiing off to the right in order to depart to our left. All right, friends. Parking brake is off. Let's before I go, bad about this, let's set flaps and trim for departure. The flaps are now set, and we'll go ahead and crank this down to neutral trim before we depart out. And we'll do a little brake check on the ramp here. And there we go. Belen traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor GA ramp. We're going to taxi out to runway 21 for a VFR southbound departure at Belen. Okay. Away we go. Nobody else seems to be operating here at the moment, but we'll do our due diligence and look all ways when approaching intersections. And we will do our run-up when we get out to the end of the runway. Not only to make sure that we didn't build up too much in the terms of carbon deposits on our plug tips while I was yammering on about what we were doing, but also to find that sweet spot of mix leanage that'll get us a good power for departure. You know, sea level to up to about 3,000 you would do mix full rich, but higher altitudes you really want the mix leaned out to your peak RPM. We could and should pull off into the hold pad here for our run up. But since there's nobody else here, we'll just go ahead and do that right here at the whole short line. Okie doke. Run up to 2,000. I'm going to leave the mix lean slightly here while we do our prop lever check, and that'll just help us in terms of any carbon that has built up on the plug tips. Hopefully we'll get burned off by running a higher power and lower mix here for just a moment. Oh, Mr. Roger says we might not see these fields in the sim. See what happens. Alright, let's yeah, full rich does indeed kind of kill our RPMs a little bit. There's our peak RPM right there. Let's do carb heat check. Carb heat check is good. And then let's do a mag check. Left mags, about a little more than 100 RPM drop. Back to normal. Then right mags, not the same. Back to normal, we're good. Belen traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor's VFR departure, runway 21 on the left-hand crosswind turnout to VFR South eastbound Belen. Alright, ETO, fuel pump, landing lights, strobe lights. Make sure we're good and aligned. Looks like we got a little bit of a left to right crosswind here. So we'll need even more right rudder than normal. Yep, can feel that already. Red line. Okay, right rudder, left aileron. $80 miles an hour. Okay, we're okay. As soon as we're sure we're not going to use that pavement anymore, we'll go ahead and get the gear up. Okay, we'll lower the nose just a touch, get the speed up, flaps in, pack off the red line, 24 and 24. We'll start our turnout here to our on course heading of 140. Belen Regional Comanche 514 Delta Victor, clear runway 21 on the left-hand turnout, VFR South eastbound Belen. And I'm going to go ahead and flip over to 22.9 as our CTAF for these two private fields that may or may not be there. Field elevation at Skywagon is 4770, so we'll say 4800. So there's 5900. So there's 1200. I'll take it to 65. Need to go any higher than that, really. 24 and 24. So 24 on the RPMs and as close to 24 as we can get on the manifold. Level it out at 6,500. I'll ease the RPMs back to 22. 2,200 rather. 22 on the manifold as well. And we can lead it out to about 14 gallons an hour. And oh, the fuel pump can come off as well. Still on a bit of a climb. Don't need to be. Where are these fields in relation to... Yeah, there should be right here kind of as the river bows out, so we're kind of pointing right toward it. Should be one on each side of the river. One on the far side, which is our first destination, and one on the near side, which is our second destination. The first destination, we said, was a runway 20. Those should be lined up with where I have the arrow now. Still picking up some excess altitude, so let's drop that. So I'm kind of wondering if this isn't something here. And then flying H, just so we're looking, just so we're kind of looking. Right click, open a new tab. Don't need that one anymore. That's a 1 in 19, 1100 foot turf. Still picking up excess altitude. The other thing we can kind of do as a cheat is we should be about 12 miles north of the VOR, 116.8. We can get kind of a reference off of that. Something around here, or something around here, 116.8 I just said. And I'm still picking up excess altitude. Let's drop to 18 and 18 here. Get us in a nice gentle descent. Yeah, so it should be like right below us. Might indeed be there. I definitely see a farm complex of some sort. Back there, maybe this. I see some candidates. And that there looks just like a roadway or driveway there. Now we're plummeting. Let's get a little bit of power back in. Kind of search through this complex here. I'm not seeing anything really definitively airstrippy. I think we're definitely in the right spot. About 12, 13 miles north of the VOR, yeah. This appears to be the correct bend in the river. That caught my eye for a second, but I don't think so. Well, Mr. Rogers insinuated that there might not be anything here. And I think he may be correct. We have a 366-foot tower. It's going to be just north and east of that. We have the tower. The tower is adjacent to the highway. Now I'm losing altitude without meaning to. We'll do one more pass looking for Skywagon, and then we'll focus on the west bank and see if we can see Flying H. We see the radio tower, so there should be at the bottom of that bend, the western curve of that bend, there should be a radio tower, 366 feet. We maybe pass right over down here, and it should be just to the north and east of that. So I think we're looking in the right area, guys. I think Mr. Rogers just might be correct that these fields are gone. They were just never taken off the sectional. At least this one. Well, let's look for Flying H. Knew that was a 19 and 1 in terms of runway. Yeah, it makes me wonder if it wasn't part of, this complex over here. Well, let's search on the west bank and see if we can see the Flying H one. Yeah, we got the river that kind of cuts through, and this bend that kind of extends eastward, and then Flying H will be the one just to the west of that bend. So, somewhere over in one of these complexes, perhaps. Well, there's that tower I was talking about. We said it was going to be kind of north and east of that. Definitely still not seeing anything on this side of the river. This might be a candidate here. Yeah, we're definitely looking in the right spot. Tower, western bend, eastern bend. Tower, western bend, eastern bend. Flying H should be somewhere right in this little nook here. We should be coming kind of, so it should be very close to parallel with the roads and highways here. Almost makes you wonder if this didn't used to be it. Well, no, that's a highway or a railroad or something. Yeah, maybe this. Although now that I say that, maybe this and this. No, I think that's just a road there. Yeah, that maybe used to be it, but I don't think it is now. Alright, sounds like we're aborting these two. Alright, well, where's the next stop then? back on 22.8, and I guess we're just going to go down the river to Socorro. That one shouldn't be too hard to spot. Field elevation 4875, so we'll cruise at 6,500. Kind of right where we are. Drop a little bit. Oh, you're so feisty. 2,200. 22. 14 on the mix. The furry co-pilot says hello, by the way. Come here.
It's finger licking good.
Good fixins is here. Alright, so let's find our river. And we'll find our river and we'll find 6,500. And we'll find her a toy to play with. And then we'll start looking at the stats on our next destination. Alright, I'll tell you what, let's just, the plane wants to be at 7, let's just level it at 7. Okay, well, we're going to be back on 22.8 then, because the rest of our published CTAFs are all 22.8. Right here. 122.8C. We are going to go until we are how far south of Sirocco VOR? Looks like 19 miles south of Sirocco VOR. So we've got that kind of as a sanity check here. We're 7 miles north of it. So we've got another 26 miles to go. But really, we're just going to follow the water, and then we'll see an airport down there eventually. 25 miles in this aircraft. We're going... That's about 10 minutes. So right around top of the hour, we should encounter our next stop here. Figure at 150 miles an hour. Divided by 1.15, that gives you how many knots you're doing. But we're also at 7,000 feet, so that's times 1.14. That puts you right back at the 150. So 120 knots would be 2 miles a minute. 150 knots is 2.5 miles a minute. So 25 miles would be 10 minutes. And I said that at just about 10 till the hour, so we're going to cruise along until just about the top of the hour. When we get there, it is O-N-M, K-O-N-M. Let's see if we've got a METAR. K-O-N-M. 1806, so again, winds coming out of the south, 10 statute miles clear. 3001 is the altimeter. Okay, so that means we need to drop a little bit of altitude here. Got the river meandering off to our left. We got the interstate kind of off to our right. Splitting the difference. kind of coming down through here. We know we're pretty close to the VOR right now, so we're kind of coming down right through here. What's the VOR? Yeah, 2.4, so we're almost overflying the VOR as we speak. Actually, VOR would be a little bit to our left. If we're between the river and the highway, the VOR is going to be just off to our left by a couple miles. When we get down there, right click, and we don't have an airport diagram, but we do have a couple of approach charts here. We'll just pull up the VOR DME Alpha. We're not going to fly that approach necessarily. But it does mean we can kind of use it as a reference. 8,000 until we're 13 miles out and then down, but we're going to be just visually, and we're still kind of picking up some altitude though. We're just going to be kind of visually going at 7,000, so we'll maintain our own visual separation with terrain, no problem there. But the main thing we're looking at is runways available. We got a 6 and a 2.4, we've got a 1.5 and a 3.3. So we're going to, the wind is 180, I think is what we said. Yeah, wind is 180, so we're going to plan an entry to 1.5. Now, at a non-towered field, you really don't want to pull along straight in, because any traffic that's in the pattern there, you're going to make them adjust to you, and that's contingent upon them seeing and hearing you. A proper pattern entry would account for any traffic that's in that pattern. So this is the final that we want to do. All right, we don't see any indication. If it said like right pattern 1.5, we would be making right turns. Get to runway 1.5. We're not. We're going to be making left turns. So there's a left base, a left downwind. Well, if we're coming in this way, how do we end up on a left downwind? What we're going to do is when we see the town, we're going to cheat way over here to this side. Maybe we'll go around this little area of terrain and that tower. We're going to come in, cross midfield at pattern altitude, and then we'll turn on to pattern altitude. That's one option. I don't like it. Because of the terrain to the west, I don't like it. Let's look at it again. Let's think about a way to enter that pattern from the east side of the field where the terrain's a little lower. Alright, so this is our final, 1.5. There's a left base to final, and there's a left downwind. So here would be a 45 entry. So what we're going to want to do is when we see the town, we're going to want to swing way out to the east, past the airport, and kind of come back up on a 45 to left downwind. So that'd be the safer way to make that pattern entry. And that way, if there's, see, because if we're doing this, and along comes some guy coming straight down a long final, then all of a sudden we're like, oh, now we got to extend. Oh, now we got to extend. Now we're like way farther out from the field than we wanted to be. No, it's just not the ideal way to go, is that's the long straight in. Ordinarily I'd be like, hey, we're on VATSIM, there's nobody else in this area, let's just do the straight in. I think for today, let's model good behavior. For change. So what do we say? That field was how far? 19 miles south of the VOR. So when we're about 15 miles, we kind of want to break off. Circle around to the east of the airspace. Aerobrad's here. Guys, thanks for joining. We've been kind of off of a consistent stream schedule, and previous to, I say, the fall, I was pretty regular on a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and then since about October, November, we've been really kind of haphazard. Starting in March, it looks like I'm going to be able to get back to a more consistent streaming schedule. However, instead of Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we are going to continue to kind of cut back to twice a week rather than once a week, and it's looking very much like Tuesday, Friday is going to be our best shot at consistency here. So it looks like we're looking kind of in this area for the airfield, maybe here or down here. Not sure, but if we're 19 miles. We're coming up on 14 miles. We definitely want to start swinging out. And again, the field elevation there is 49, essentially. We're 1,000 feet above traffic pattern altitude, 1,000 foot plus above traffic pattern altitude. 22.8, yep, we are on that. Oh, this looks like maybe our field here. Socorro traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor, about 5 miles north. We're at 7,000. We'll be descending, heading southeast. Then we'll do a 45 to the left downwind for 15, full stop in Socorro. Alright, so we'll bring it down to about 18 and 18 here. Gonna watch the terrain to some extent, but really we want to just kind of swing around, maybe down to this little town or neighborhood, and then we're gonna come back up toward midfield on a 45. Don't need to go too far out here. I think once we turn in on that 45 would be our cue to start the predictions, but not yet. Just hold off on those predictions just for a moment. Let's level the wings real quick. Yeah, it looks like I'm flying about a 150. Directional gyro is reading about a 150. It looks like maybe a couple degrees left of that, so there we go. But yeah, we'll come down over this little neighborhood, and then we'll kind of turn back in toward the airport on that 45-degree entry to the downwind. Another 500, 600 feet to lose for the pattern altitude, which we said was going to be 59. Go ahead and turn the fuel pump on for our arrival. Drop the power just a little more. And that's not our airport, is it? Not for sure. Yeah, there's our airport there. Okay, so we're passing it. We want to kind of swing out to the south and west, south and east rather. Then we'll come back to it on a 45 to the left downwind 15. We'll call it 6 even. We'll cheat the pattern altitude by just 100 feet, but 6 even, we'll call it pattern altitude. Electric Dreams is back with us. Welcome, welcome. Trying to keep the speed up. Lost sight of the airport. I think it was kind of right back here. It looked like it was fairly easy to spot, though. I think once we get turned back toward it, we shouldn't have any trouble here. I've got the arrow set to our runway heading, just ignoring the deviation needle. We're not really using the deviation needle for anything right now. Matter of fact, just to avoid the distraction, just detune the VOR. We don't need the DME. So just to avoid the distraction, we'll detune the VOR, and that way the arrow is now literally just representing our runway heading. Socorro traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor, about 4 miles south and east. Now we're going to be joining the 45 to left downwind, runway 15, full stop, Socorro. Another notch of power out. We're kind of aiming to level at 6. Yeah, at this point, I think you guys can start putting some predictions into the chat as far as the descent rate upon touchdown. No bot command is necessary, just a number. With or without the minus sign, we know you mean a descent rate either way. And the closest predictor is going to get an entry into our monthly landing rate raffle, which we'll pull toward the end of the month of February. Okay. Well, we're entering more on a straight perpendicular than a 45. I guess we should be coming in from a little bit more south here. But we'll call this our 45 to left downwind. We're also we're a couple hundred feet high yet. Socorro traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor is now entering the 45 to left downwind for runway 15, full stop, Socorro. Alright, I'm going to turn in. First notch of flaps, we'll turn in from the 45 to the downwind. Slightly high, and pattern altitude should be 6 even, basically. So slightly in danger of descending on top of somebody. I feel like I had a good scan coming into the pattern, so I feel relatively safe that we're not coming down on top of any other traffic. But again, really strict adherence would have been an entry at pattern altitude, not above it. Man, that's funny thing is, I never turned the arrow to 15, so no wonder the entry didn't look like it was lining up. So we probably did come in at a better 45 to left downwind. Socorro traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor, midfield left downwind, runway 15, full stop, Socorro. Alright, now we're at a little bit better of a pattern altitude. We do have the first notch of flaps out, although I'm a little fast for them. Get gear down to help control speed. And when the number's 45-degree angle over our left shoulder, we'll turn from downwind to base. Looking, second notch of flaps coming in. Socorro traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor's left downwind to left base, runway 15, full stop, Socorro. Alright, fuel pump is on. Gears down in green. A little far out. Much more power. Last call for the predictions, friends. Socorro traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor's left base to final, runway 15, full stop, Socorro. Let's not ram that tower. Either of those. Let's split the uprights here. We got a tower here, tower here. I mean, we got plenty of clearance, but man, it kind of looks daunting, doesn't it? I'm showing high. Yeah, I agree. Okay, we'll get the third notch of flaps in. Back the power off. Be okay here. There we got a red indicator. We'll get the nose up, power back. We can kind of spin the props up a little bit to help us slow down. And just focus on a good power out, round out, and flare here. Always rising up to us here. A little bit of a bouncer, maybe. Overall, I wasn't terribly dissatisfied. I felt like the round out and flare were a little bit more well timed than I've been doing in this plane. Yeah, I called it a skim, called it a bounce. With that sloped runway, though, I'm gonna be a little forgiving of myself. Thousand RPMs. Clean the mix. Alright, pitot and fuel pump. Flaps are stowed. Strobes. Landing lights. Socorro traffic. Comanche 514 Delta Victor clear, runway 15 Socorro. Yeah, Kenny said I had lots of room to float for butter. I mean, I had a little extra speed, but I don't think it was terribly egregious. I've touched down relatively close to where I wanted to. The RPM's back down to 1. Alright, parking brake comes on. And what else? I think we're good. Yep, we are good. Alright, let's check it out, guys. Soul Brothers. 58 was the number that came up. Yeah, we knew that. You have to discount the G's on the exterior flight model. The A2A Simulations, what they call the AccuSim flight model, runs in an external app, and then that app injects the aircraft movement back into the sim. But whatever process happens with that, it screws up the G-load calculation for that this little plug-in. So you kind of have to discount that. 58 is the number that showed up.
It's not rigged, Kinney. You just lost.
58 was the second landing, says Kenny. No, I felt overall pretty good about the execution on that one. We had guesses of 96, 69, 173, 113, 56, 120. Okay, yeah, so Heisenberg's going to take it there. K-O-N-M on 2. What is it today? Is it the 4th? Yeah, I think it's... Those VATSIM courses are paying off already, says Heisenberg. Alright, very good, guys. Alright, well, I know we're only an hour and 15 minutes into the stream, but I do need to take a quick break for some liquid recycling. I guess it was chugging too much water before the stream went live, so we'll go ahead and leave the aircraft idling on the ramp here, however, just to save us from having to go through the entire startup process when we get back. But we will take a quick break out of the cockpit for some liquid recycling. Funny thing is because we didn't find either of these two fields here, we've really only got one more on the itinerary. However, it is indeed a 51-mile leg. I wonder, Spaceport America. I'll read ahead. Maybe what we'll do is we'll read ahead a little bit and come a little bit further down. Might end up making this season 12 episodes rather than 13 if we can kind of work ahead a little bit. Oh, interestingly, we do have Albuquerque Center online as well now. Not really going to need to talk to them. Again, we're VFR, we're outside of Bravo, Charlie, and Delta airspace, but maybe since we've got a little bit of a longer leg coming up, maybe we'll go ahead and pick up flight following. As soon as we get airborne out of Socorro, pick up some flight following while we're making our way down to Truth or Consequences. So maybe we'll mess around with that, and that'll be our fun for the evening. Okay, friends, well, have some patience. We will be right back to our river run in the A2A Comanche down the Rio Grande just after this. We are live from Studio 5 just outside of Ocean City, Maryland, and taking a quick liquid recycle break. Back in a minute, guys. Hey friends, welcome back. We are back with you, live from Studio 5 just outside of Ocean City, Maryland, and we are resuming our river run down the Rio Grande. So thank you very much for joining us. We're in the A2A Simulations Piper Comanche, and we just landed at Socorro. If I can get you, if I can find my mouse cursor, I'll drag the map over here and I'll show you where we are. There we are. So, just landed at Socorro Municipal. So this evening we took off from Belen Regional. We were not able to find these two airfields. Our friend, Mr. Rogers, was in the stream chat saying he was looking on Google Maps. He's like, I think those two just never got taken out of the database. Well, he was correct. So we didn't find either of those. So really, honestly, we've only made one hop to Socorro. And then we're going to make one more hop down here, another 51-mile hop. But we're really it's going to be a little bit longer because we're going to follow the river down to Truth or Consequences. Well, it's so early in the night, we might see if we can maybe pick up a couple of stops from the next episode and just kind of work ahead a little bit. So we'll see how we feel when we get down to Truth or Consequences. But we will go ahead and depart, and we'll depart runway 15 more or less on a straight out, and we'll pick up the river southbound. It is a 51-mile leg, and we are going to be on 122.8 for our CTAF communications here at Socorro, and then we will be on 122.8 again at Truth or Consequences. Interestingly, we do have VATSIM air traffic control online. Our Albuquerque Center controller is up and running. They're on 132.8. And even though on these river runs, we normally have not worried about flight following because these hops are so short, it doesn't make sense to pick up flight following and then suddenly drop it again. But since we've got a 51-mile hop, we might as well make use of it. So 132.8 is the frequency for them. Let's go ahead and see, we're 22.8. 32.8 will be our comm frequency for our en route segment, and we'll go ahead and just check in and get flight following services from them. Meanwhile, let us get an updated METAR from our present position, KONM 160 so it still feels like southbound is going to be the better choice. 3001 is still the altimeter, so that hasn't changed. So we're good there. Field elevation is charted as 4875, and looks like we're pretty close to that in terms of what's reading. Let's correct our directional gyro as well. Looks like we're parked almost exactly at a 3.3, so we can pop that in and make that adjustment. And we're going to taxi kind of straight ahead and depart on a 1.5, and then we'll just go straight out and pick up the river southbound. We can set flaps for departure. We can set the trim for departure. Oh, we're pretty close to neutral there. Yeah, I think we're pretty good. Socorro traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor. We're going to taxi out to runway 15 for VFR southbound straight out. Socorro. Red Baron Flies back with us. How are you? Good to see you. Is that the? Is there another entryway to the runway down there? I think we're good, and we will. I know we sat here and idled for a while. Potentially picked up some carbon deposits on our plug tips, but I'm gonna YOLO it. We'll be fine. No run-up necessary. Oh, we're crossing runway 24. Socorro traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor. We're taxiing southbound for a runway 15 departure, crossing the end of runway 24, Socorro. Socorro traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor, now clear 24 Socorro. Yeah, we are on VATSIM, Red Baron. We're at a non-towered field with just transmitting and receiving on common traffic advisories for right now. But once we get airborne, we do have Albuquerque Center online, and so we'll check in with them for some flight following services. Departing from Socorro Municipal, KONM, following the Rio Grande. We are south of Albuquerque and headed toward Truth or Consequences, New Mexico. Alright. Probes, landing lights, pitot, and fuel pump on. Socorro traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor. We're departing runway 15, VFR southbound, straight out Socorro. Lean for power. Takeoff power coming at you. Red Baron says, I've only heard of people do this non-towered field stuff on VATSIM like twice. Well, you've been on the wrong channels then. This is much more of a general aviation stream than an airline stream, although we do a mix, but we focus on general aviation, so we do a lot of this kind of stuff operating at smaller airfields. Yes, indeed, we are. Alright, as soon as we're sure we're not going to need that pavement down below us, and I think that's safe to say, we'll go ahead and get flaps in. I mean, gear in first, rather. Get the nose down, get the speed up toward 100. Flaps can come in. We'll ease out on the rudder input. Kind of veer over and pick up the river. Get the RPMs down to 24, manifold pressure up to 24, and Socorro traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor, clear runway 15, southeast bound, VFR leaving the area of Socorro. And let's swap over and talk to Albuquerque. Albuquerque Center, Comanche 514 Delta Victor, VFR request.
And center is now back. The South 4261.
Oh, they were gone.
Contact.
Apparently they were gone for a second.
Any for South 4261, ready to contact, climb and tape level 310. Turn right heading 360 when able to clear the Albuquerque vortex.
As soon as that aircraft reads back, we'll try our request again.
Alright, Albuquerque Center, Southwest 4261, climb and maintain level 310, 360 heading, and then get the Albuquerque vortex, Southwest 4261.
Albuquerque Center, Comanche 514 Delta Victor, VFR request.
Comanche 514 Victor Delta, Albuquerque Center, good.
Yep, it's 514 Delta Victor. We are about 3 miles south of Socorro Municipal Airport. 6,600 climbing, looking for flight following down to Truth or Consequences. Kilo Tango, Charlie Sierra. We're going to be cruising at 7,000, and we're Piper Comanche Papa Alpha 24 Slant Alpha.
Number 1, correction number 514 Delta Victor, squawk 5604, ident.
5604 and ident, 514 Delta Victor. It's not activating ident, but we'll get the ident from the pilot client. Get back down to 7,000.
And the call sign, White Star 51. Yes, White Star 501.
Red Baron says, I heard some guy get yelled at by other traffic for broadcasting over CTAF. Well, first of all, pilots should not be yelling at each other. They shouldn't be policing each other. You can offer constructive advice, but your job is not to yell at anybody else. Second of all, yeah, there's some good number of misunderstandings about how the advisory frequencies are supposed to be used.
Victor, radar contact 24 miles south, Chicago, VOR, maintain VFR, the Chicago, altimeter 3001.
I will maintain VFR 3001, 5 and 4 Delta Victor.
Calling for higher, say again.
And,
American 1930 is unavailable for rejection of travel. I can give you a 360 if you can do 400.
in terms of the VFR request, the reason I chime in with VFR request and I leave it at that is because when you're you're a VFR aircraft and you're making that first initial contact with a center controller or an en route controller, and you got to spit out all that information for flight following, you got to give them your location, your altitude, the altitude that you're climbing and descending to, your destination, your intended cruise altitude, if different than what you just gave them, and the aircraft type and navigation equipment suffix. Navigation equipment suffix is kind of optional, but still. A lot of information to spit out at once, and if the controller's not already ready to copy it, then the very first thing you say, while they're giving jets their descents and intercepts and approach clearances and all that, and the first thing you chime in is with that 10-piece of information transmission, you know, chances are they're going to have missed the first half of it. So I always kind of chime in with that VFR request, and that lets them know, like, oh, this guy's about to spit out a flight following request. I better get my notepad up and running. So I only chime in with that initial call when I know I'm going to be spitting out a ton of information.
Flight 1503, contact LA Center 126.52.
Alright, so 22, 14 gallons an hour. Did I ever get the fuel pump off? No, I didn't. I always forget that. Alright, friends. I can tune in. There is a VOR down there.
Say call sign one more time.
At Truth or Consequences. We can tune it in just a moment to just get a little bit of backup in terms of our progress. It looks like it's about 3 miles north of the airport. So it'll be pretty reliable information in terms of remaining distance to go.
1013, runway 25 right, taxi Charlie, Sierra Echo.
But the navigation's pretty easy for us on this leg. Just follow the river until it turns into this giant elephant butt reservoir. Yes, I know it's not really butt. It's just fun to say it that way. So it'll be hard to miss. That elephant butt will be hard to miss. And then Truth or Consequences, right click, right click. We got a VOR alpha. We're not going to fly an instrument approach to Truth or Consequences, but we're just using this for the airport diagram. So it looks like we got...
What did George Washington say to his men before crossing the Delaware? Get on the boat.
Melvin Leroy is here. So it looks like we got a 13 to 31 paved, and then we got all these, looks like, turf runways at the airport. We'll just use the regular paved one, I guess.
South 121, runway 25.
Melvin, thank you for the resub. Appreciate that. 59 months. That's coming up on 5 years, Melvin. That's crazy. Let's go ahead and get a METAR observation down there. KTCS. ATCS, truth or consequences. 2:30 at 10. So that's going to be essentially a straight up crosswinds for 13 and 31. Slightly more favorable to 3-1, but that may not even be the case when you factor in the magnetic deviation. Ten knots straight on crosswind. That's going to be fun. Altimeter 3000, so we'll back that off a notch. I guess I'll take 3-1 just because it lends itself to a easier pattern entry from the north, puts us on more of a downwind entry than some sort of silly maneuver like we did on the last one. We did mention, by the way, that we've got a restricted area of airspace to our east.
121, wind 2904.
So really, if I want to be safer, I got to make sure I'm west of the river.
I reckon 2460.
What is that, White Sands missile range? Is that what we said it was?
Call short of Delta. Correction, Charlie.
And it looks like I've lost a little bit of altitude here. We'll trim up and get back up to 7. Field elevation at truth or consequences, 4862. So just shy of 5,000. So just shy of 6,000 would be our pattern altitude. Yeah, Red Baron says, is that restricted airspace 24/7? Yeah, I didn't really check. I kind of presume, just for practice, just for the practice of navigating around them, I presume that they all are, but we can check. 5111 and 5107 are the designators. I'll show you. We can go to the, instead of the World VFR, let's go to the Albuquerque sectional, and we can see (5111). Time of use, yeah, it's only by NOTAM, it looks like 5111. 5107. Well, pieces of 5107, I guess we'd have to really see which pieces of 5107. And looks like 5111 is all by NOTAM. Pieces of 5107 are continuous, so it would, we'd have to really look in more detail. If we wanted to know, but the safest thing to do is just stay west of the river. And on VATSIM, they're not really too concerned with restricted airspace most of the time. It depends on the center controller, I guess.
1633 Albuquerque. DDC 9.20, contact Denver Center 127.65.
So as we progress south off to our left, the beginning of this chunk of rock.
Arca 919, Monterey.
Right around to the time where we see this chunk of rock, we should start to see the reservoir open up. Just kind of see that up ahead. And so let's tune the VOR when the field is 3 miles past the VOR. So 112.7, we can kind of get a read on how far we are from it. 12.6, 12.7, 19. So we're still 22 miles out. Yeah, we can see that reservoir opening up down there. The elephant butt appears before us.
For Delta Victor, the trip consequences, altimeter 3000.
Alright, 3000, 514 Delta Victor. Alright, and once again, we are with flight following with Albuquerque Center. When we decide we're going to start making our pattern entry, we're going to be on 122.8 for broadcasting advisories.
Pulse Express 051, just verify you're stopping at level 290. I'm showing you climbing. I guess you can log out too. Bye-bye.
Alright. As we're starting to come up on it just a little bit, I'm going to ease the power back. Start a gentle descent. Again, field elevation just shy of 5,000, so our pattern elevation is going to be just shy of 6,000. Yeah, a little bit of... The plane's fine. My hardware is a little glitchy sometimes. So 20 and 20 there. Not even found us here. Says I love the choice of plane. Yeah, indeed, the A2A Comanche. Our first 3 seasons of River Run were done in the WB-152 with our friend Freckles tagging along. We got Charlie on board with us here. Freckles' real first name was Juliet. We used to be able to say, you know, we were ready to taxi with Juliet on board. Now we can say we're ready to taxi with Charlie on board.
Charlie Aircraft Phoenix Tower is now online. Phoenix Tower 120.9er for all Phoenix related stuff.
Alright, east of the...
Clipper 7, runway...
West of the rock, rather.
What do you like, 26 or T1?
I planned 21 Clipper 7, but others fine.
We're going to stay over the water, and then basically a right downwind onto runway 31 at Truth or Consequences, and with the wind coming left to right on final. 10 knot crosswind, basically a 90 degree crosswind, 10 knots. So it should be a fun one in terms of crosswind technique. We'll do our best. Give me just a moment on that. Just a touch early. We're still 15 miles out. I'll let you know, though. Field's just about, well, I'd say 3 miles further south from the VOR, but the angle that we're coming in, you know, when we're about 5 miles from that VOR, we're going to be about 5 miles from the field, so. Yeah, the Comanches, they do. They get along, they get down the line pretty quickly. That's kind of why I like it.
121, radar contact lost.
Back to 22 and 22 for now. Center Comanche 514 Delta Victor, we're coming up on our destination. You can cancel flight following.
For Delta Victor, Roger, squawk maintain VFR, no traffic airborne between you and the field, frequency change approved, bye-bye.
Alright, frequency change approved. We'll see you at 514 Delta Victor. Alright, so we're back to squawking VFR. Tell you what we can do. We can monitor his frequency on COM 2 just for the A, the situational awareness, and B, the fun. But we'll be transmitting and receiving on our CTAF for the field. And by the way, 22.8, you might be saying, oh, but Rob, it's not the 22.8 anymore. It's the published CTAF for each airport. Well, yeah, I know that. 22.8 is the published CTAF for this airport. Truth or consequences, traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor's over the north end of the reservoir, 6,300 descending. Be entering a right base to runway 31 for the full stop, truth or consequences. Alright friends, I think it's time now. Go ahead and start putting those predictions into the chat. No bot command necessary here, just a number into the chat with or without the minus sign will serve as your prediction for the vertical descent rate at the moment the wheels touch the runway surface. Closest predictor will get an automatic entry into our landing rate raffle
set a 30-weight ball
with the winner to be chosen toward the end of the month of February.
It's all ball bearings
Now I'll tell you what, this Friday we've got two big prize drawings happening, not related to the landing rate raffle, however. Number one, we had our vintage cross the half pond event this past weekend, and we've got to choose our winners of our Orbix and tie models and slant alpha prizes for that event. We'll make that selection on Friday, and then Friday the Alpha Bits raffle will be drawn into a 10x10 grid, and winners will be selected in the style of a Super Bowl pool. So everybody that's got a ticket into the Alpha Bits raffle, you want to get that done by Friday. If you're not already entered, you want to get that done now, because on Friday we'll be drawing all those tickets into a 10x10 grid, and then we'll determine our winners for that on Sunday. And I'm picking up altitude. I don't mean to be. Should be dropping the pattern altitude here.
And Clipper 70 got stepped on the again, sorry.
Could you verify my top altitude, please?
Go ahead and get the fuel pump on.
Clipper 7, the ground should have given you that. Should be 10,000.
Alright, copy. I believe I got contact hit. Runway 21 clear for takeoff, fly runway heading, top altitude 10,000.
2463, gotcha. Ready contact, climb maintain level 340.
Not quite seeing the runway here. Like it maybe should be. Is that over there?
FedEx 1100. Port was closed. Ready first terminate. Big change approved.
Yeah. 5,000 foot tower just south of the field. Yeah, that'll be it over there.
How was that for JetBlue 2985? Negative. FedEx 1100.
Truth or consequences, traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor's on about a 5 mile right base runway 31 full stop, truth or consequences. Get the power back down. Altitude down to pattern altitude 6,000. As soon as we can get flaps and gear, we'll get that done. Alright, gear coming out. Okay, there we are. Okay, that's one of the dirt runways. I see the paved runway here. Kind of aim right toward that tower and then turn. I keep the predictions coming, guys. Due to the consequences, traffic, Comanche 5 and 4 Delta Victor is about a 2-mile right base runway 31 full stop due to the consequences. We could very easily go for one of those dirt strips. Probably have a better time of it in terms of the crosswind. We're kind of right into the headwind here. Have to remember that gusty wind coming from the left. When I want to turn this too short here, we're going to turn a little bit wide. Due to the consequences, traffic, Comanche 5 and 4 Delta Victor turning the left base to final now for the full stop runway 31. Due to the consequences. Alright, last call for the predictions, friends. Last notch of flaps is in. Remember to keep the nose pointed left.
Silver 7, ready to contact, climb maintain 17,000, one able, correction, turn right heading 360, one able, clear the Albuquerque traffic.
Hamilton 17,000, right heading.
And then as we are able.
And what, 4 attack, clip 7?
Clip 7, one able, clear direct to Albuquerque.
Clear direct to Albuquerque, for more attack, one able, clip 7.
I'll tell you what, because of the change in the pavement, I'm going to aim for the lighter pavement. So yeah, it's going to be well ahead of the touchdown markers, but I'm going to aim for that change in pavement there. Left wing down, right rudder in. We're still drifting way left here.
Target 1996 after yellow. Target 1996, you want a shortcut? Target 1996, one able,
pretty nice, pretty nice.
Echo Whiskey Mike.
Little right of center line, but given the crosswind correction, I didn't feel too bad about it. It really doesn't look like the taxiway markings line up at all
One Sierra Bravo, would you like a shortcut as well, or just keep to your route?
Yeah, we're gonna fudge it a little bit. I don't know what's going on with the scenery here. Yeah, and then this is where we had planned to end the evening. It's only 9 o'clock though. So I'll tell you what, we'll pull up the itinerary for the next episode of River Run, and I'll work ahead a couple airports here. Looks like I'm between the T's. I'm trying to land on one. Guess I can get strobes, landing lights, pitot, and fuel pump, and flap stowed. Not doing a real good job with the parking. Okay, that's fine. Cool.
Center will be back in about 1 minute.
We'll park it right there. That'll work. Let's get the RPMs down to 1,000. Get the mix leaned out right to the point where it drops. Yeah, Big JV says a little off-roading never hurt anyone. Yeah, this airport's already kind of strange because it's one paved runway and then all these dirt strips, and we could see that those were fairly well rendered, but the paved taxiway, I guess this was supposed to be here, certainly did not seem to be. Interesting little place, so I have to do a little more research into what it's supposed to look like. Anyway, let's figure out who the entry winner was. Oh yeah, not even found. You want to wind back to the beginning of the stream. It says it's a badass airport name. You want to wind back to the beginning of the stream. We talked a little bit about where that name came from. Yeah, so 10 knot, bang on crosswind, as we knew it would be. I forgave myself for that. You have to discount that because of the exterior flight model that A2A runs. And the result was pretty nice. What were your guesses?
It's not rigged, Kinney. You just lost.
65, 81, 130, 77, 142, 173, 55, 30. So I guess we're going to call it 65. Is that only 4 away? And then on the high side, 4 away would put it at 73. I don't think there was anybody else in the 70s. We had 77 from Aerobrad. But it looks like Relax Portal was our big winner there. At KTCS 124. All right, well, we completed the itinerary for this episode of River Run. Let's look ahead and see what the next one would have. Put it on the schedule yet. Alright, well, I don't know if we'll get all of this done, but this is what the next one was supposed to be. Spaceport America, Hatch Municipal, Las Cruces International, Cielo Dorado, and Dona Ana County International Jetport. So some real, you want to talk about bad you-know-what airport names.
3005, Iowa Creek Center, allowed to send the Bruiser 1 arrival.
I don't know if we'll get to all of these before I peter out this evening, but we can certainly do a couple more. Let's at least try to get down to Hatch and maybe even Las Cruces. And again, it's a 21-mile hop and a 23-mile hop. I don't think we're going to worry too much about picking up flight following just to drop it again. So we'll keep the center control on COM2 just to listen in, just to see if there's anything fun happening. But in terms of our navigation, we're not going to worry about it. I think that's a private, so that's going to be on 122.9. So we're going to depart. CTAS is going to be 122.8. At our next destination, it's 122.9. It's a private field that doesn't have a CTAS specified, so that's going to be 22.9 is our default. Again, we talked earlier, 5111 A, B, C, and D. Let's go and check and see. 5111 A, B, C, and D. I think we said all the 5111s were by NOTAM. So if there's no NOTAMs, let's just, and on VATSIM we don't really have to honor the NOTAM. So let's just say these are all not currently hot, not currently in use. So we're okay to fly into these. Now we don't want to go too far east of the airport because 5107 might be active at this time. at 6. It seems like we're going to want the southbound runway there. $12,000 by 200-foot runway 16 and 34. So I guess we want runway 16 there. So we'll take off 13 and then we'll just head over there and do 16. 21 miles again, not worth picking up flight following for.
Right, 2463 LA closed, radio service terminated, free exchange approved.
At 3003 is now the current altimeter, I think. KTCS, let's make sure I spelled METAR correctly. Yeah, 3003 now, 240 at 10. Go ahead and set flaps for departure. Lower our trim. Reset our directional gyro. We're parked at a 224 basically. About there. I'm gonna just detune the VOR because the VOR is just kind of confusing me in terms of what I'm looking at. We're gonna depart on runway 13. Our on-course heading, get to our next destination, is a 126, basically a straight out. I'm not going to even bother with the heading bug. We're just going to do a straight out, and then it's a 16, I think is what we said here. Yep. So I'll use the green arrow to remind me of the runway heading at our destination. Yellow arrow will be runway heading at our origin and also our on-course departure. Okay, and what's the location here is called Truth or Consequences, and where we're going is called Spaceport America. Truth or Consequences traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor's taxiing out to runway 13 for VFR southbound departure. Truth or Consequences. Get 22-9er ready to tune in on the comm frequency. We'll still monitor the center frequency on COM2 just for the situational awareness. And for the lulls, of course.
Air 1420 Albuquerque, Santa Lu.
And away we go. Iowa Scotsman is here. How are you, sir? All right. Are we ready? Straight out departure. 21 miles. So once we get up to speed, it's going to be about a 7 or 8 minute flight, right? 8 minute flight thereabouts.
So 32 Albuquerque, Santa.
Alright, and we're not going to stop and do a run-up. We're just going to go ahead and roll. Truth or consequences traffic. Comanche 514 Delta Victor is going to take it on the roll. Runway 13 VFR straight out departure. Truth or consequences. Alright. Pitot, fuel pump. Landing lights and strobes. Big JV with the resub. Thank you so kindly. Talking a moments ago about our raffles. We got our... Well, let me get airborne first. Recap that for you. Our takeoff power's coming at you.
I'm getting to Albuquerque, Southwest 3032 with you, final 350.
32 Albuquerque, hello.
Oh.
Hola.
Needing some left rudder in because of that
10,
right to left
Albuquerque with me,
crosswind.
sorry.
A little shaky on the departure.
31, sorry. You know.
Got airborne though.
Climbing tempo 39
Get the gear in. As soon as we're sure we're not going to need any of that pavement, we'll get the gear in. And we did say we wanted to stay on the runway heading, which was back this way a little bit. And now that we're not in need of the flaps, go ahead and get the RPMs backed off the red line. 24 on the RPMs, 24 on the manifold, pitch for 105. Try to get the rest of that rudder input out. Yeah, there we are. And Spaceport America is 4,600 feet.
We're at 2463.
So if we go to 60,
15 minutes ago, frequency change approved.
65 will be plenty. And timing was 9. We got airborne at about 10 after.
1.65.
So by about 20 after, we should be seeing this thing. Alright, coming up on 6,500. Level it off. 22 on the RPMs, 22 on the manifold. On the 14 on the mix, 14 gallons per hour. And keep adding down trim. CB Flyers here. Good evening, Commander of the Comanche. Thank you so much. The Big JV had resubscribed there just a little bit ago, and we were just talking about our periodic raffles. So every time we perform a landing on the channel, that gives you an opportunity to get an entry into our landing rate raffle. And we pull the winners for those toward the end of the even numbered months. Next drawing for that will be toward the end of the month of February. Our Alphabets raffle, that's the one that you enter with the Twitch channel points, aka the Alphabets points, down there at the bottom of the chat panel. 2,000 for one entry. 10,000 gets you 6 for the price of 5. Normally toward the end of the odd-numbered months, but in this instance, we're going to let you enter that all the way up until this Friday's stream, and fairly early on this Friday's stream, we'll freeze those entries, and we're going to put those into a 10x10 grid, and we'll select those winners in Super Bowl pool style. So there will be 5 winners of the January Alphabets raffle, and we'll find out who those winners are during the course of the big game on Sunday. Fun, fun, fun. This isn't our field right here, is it? No, no, no. That's a road. It looks long enough, but what we're looking for is a paved strip, 12,000-foot strip. It'll be kind of dead ahead of us. Maybe another 5 minutes up the way. And then also on Friday, we'll be choosing our winners from the Vintage Cross the Half Pond. We had 7, aside from myself, that successfully completed that journey on Saturday. And 3 of them will be winning prizes from Orbix, from Time Models, and from the Slant Alfred prize pool. Looks like we got our field up ahead. I'm just going to drop into a pattern. We're going to just enter do a let's do a proper entry. Let's go midfield perpendicular crossing. Direct entry onto the right, the left downwind rather. 22 Niners, DC tap for that one. Field elevation 46, and we're going to drop to 56. Spaceport traffic, Comanche 514 out to Victor, about 4 miles north and west. We are 6,200 ascending. We're going to do a west to east crossing midfield at pattern. Going left downwind, runway 16 for the full stop. Spaceport.
Aircraft calling Albuquerque, say again.
0.73 works for you.
I'm going to say 46, so 56.
We're at 1653, yep, just as fast as you can go. That'd be appreciated.
Alright, and let's power back way off here. We get the speed down. And we'll cross right about the middle. 12,000-foot runway.
Albuquerque Center, this is United level 23 with you, flight level 370.
1123 Albuquerque Center, Lou.
Right about here is midfield, I suppose. We're going to keep the altitude right there. Spaceport traffic, Comanche 514 out to Victor's west to east at 5,600. We're going to join a left downwind midfield over the midfield crossing for the runway 16 full stop spaceport. Is that the airport or is this just a highway? I think I've just set up for a highway. I thought for sure I was looking at the airport. Yeah, spaceport traffic, Comanche 514 out to Victor. Sorry, we were set up for the interstate. We're going to keep 5,600 and continue searching for the field, spaceport. Spaceport traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor. Now we're about 4 miles north of west, 5,600. We're going to try the same thing again. West to east, midfield crossing, and then a left downwind for the 16 spaceport. Oops. So I'm going to swing it back out to the west a little bit. Do a little bit of a better job at a midfield perpendicular crossing. The speed back down nice and low already. I think we've got any. Of course, I've forgotten and left my fuel pump on for departure, so it's now on preemptively for our arrival. So that's good. Ahead of the game. So swing out back to the west here. Again, we're a little high for pattern altitude, but we'll get back down to 56. But again, you know, if you're level with pattern altitude, that's your best case scenario in terms of being able to spot other traffic, because you're basically scanning right along the horizon. Is there anybody else that we see in the pattern here, right along the horizon? So let's get back down to that 56.
Flight 2047 Albuquerque.
Right there at 125, 130 now. So we're right on the verge of being able to deploy flaps and gear. Let the altitude come back down. Looks like a midfield crossing would be right just about where the building is. We'll swing it out to the west, and then we'll cut in
2261
eastbound.
Just getting ready to check in from here, flight 2261.
Given the fact that I'm sure that we see the correct field now, you guys can go ahead and start putting some predictions into the chat in terms of the vertical descent rate at the moment the wheels touch runway surface. So go ahead and put a number in. Bot command is not necessary. Minus sign is not necessary. Just a number into the chat is fine. That'll represent your guess as to the vertical descent rate at the moment the wheels touch the runway surface. And the closest predictor gets an automatic entry into our landing rate raffle, and that will be drawn toward the end of the month of February.
Albuquerque, say again, sorry.
Back the power off just a touch.
Who is it?
Spaceport traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor. We're now about a mile west at pattern altitude west to east, joining the midfield downwind 16, with midfield left downwind 16 for the full stop. Spaceport. That's an interesting terminal building there. I know nothing about the history of this field. It's a private airport, yet it's a 12,000 by 300 foot runway paved. It is very near the White Sands missile range, as we know we have been all evening. But whether this used to be like a, I don't know if this used to be a alternate shuttle landing site. It seems a little short of a runway for that. Or what the history of this field is, how it came to be. So there's our midfield crossing. Again, nobody in the pattern that we can see. Take it out to a
2047, same Mach
to a
number.
base. Landed B-52s there, maybe? Yeah, I have no idea. No idea. Relax has been there for a college rocket competition. Okay, interesting.
Thank you. Thank you.
It looked like the Millennium Falcon, didn't it? CB Flyer says. Spaceport traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor's on the west to east crossing. We're joining the midfield left downwind runway 16 now. For the full stop at Spaceport.
50 miles west of Drakeville.
Here, flaps.
Descend via the Bruiser 1 arrival to Phoenix.
So hot out there, yeah.
Correction, T9er.
I can imagine.
7 Phoenix is landing west.
It looks like a warm climate area, just if I had to eyeball it. Okay, it looks like our turn-in point might be this dark spot here.
Denver's, I guess they're closed. Ready to service terminating. Quick change crew. Bye bye. Alright, 767, same for you, Denver, correction, Phoenix, LA, call it the 31st, terminating free, change for you.
Change your frequency, thanks for the...
Spaceport traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor's left downwind to left base, runway 16 for the full stop, Spaceport. Second notch of flaps coming in. We're speeding the props up, but we're not really adding power. Started a gentle descent on the downwind to base. And then it looks like we'll pass the end of that darker spot and turn on to final here.
24-7, roger, report back.
Slipper 7, separate 5 minutes.
Ready to report back.
Alright, last call for the prediction trends.
16 Albuquerque.
Spaceport traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor left base to final now, runway 16 full stop.
What is fine with us, we'll make sure it gets holding.
1420.
Negative.
Alright, a little bit of a right crab here, so left rudder, right aileron. It's tracking fairly straight, it looks like.
2416 Albuquerque, Center low.
Yeah, windsock showing fairly straight.
Mach 0.75 or less.
Mach 0.75 or less.
I think we're good there. Don't have to be too aggressive on the brakes, I wouldn't say. Yeah, I registered a little higher than I thought it would have, but still in a nice, nice general range. So overall happy.
Contact Phoenix approach 128.65. Thank you, Southwest 437.
Bring it back.
I'm not sure if that's a taxiway or a road or what that is. Yeah, I'm gonna not go there. We'll go down one more. I feel like I could have landed on the width of this thing. Alright, pitot, fuel pump, strobes, landing lights, flaps. Spaceport traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor, clear, runway 16, spaceport.
American 463 Albuquerque Center low, climb maintain flow 320.
And those of you joining late, we are monitoring Albuquerque Center's frequency on COM 2, but we're transmitting and receiving on COM 1 here at this non-towered field, so we're transmitting and receiving on a common traffic advisory frequency, 122.9er in this case. Then we got the Albuquerque Center just on the comm 2 that we're just monitoring, but we're not transmitting. Alright, parking brake is on. I thought it was, at least. Now it is. Wrong switch. Okay, now it is. The RPM's back to 1,000. Get the mix out to the point where it starts to drop. Ooh, way out there. There it is, and I think we got everything else done the way it needs to be done. So let's take a real quick spin around this airport and see. It is kind of the shape of the Millennium Falcon, isn't it? Like no joke. Well, sort of, kind of. We're missing the cockpit that should be there. That is definitely an interesting building. I would love to know more about the history of this place. But at the very least, there we are sitting at it. And while we're sitting at it, is it supposed to be a guitar? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll take a quick peek of what it looks like on Google Maps. So yeah, 8 knot straight headwind and no bounces this time. Again, you have to discount the G's. I felt better about the touchdown, but it registered a little more on the firm side. 85 is what came up. We'll go with it. It's fine. I was really overall happy with the execution. So the numbers that you guys came in with were 77, 65, 81 from Melvin, 173, 52, 43, and 58. Melvin Leroy, is that right? Melvin Leroy with the 4 away. And what's this place? This is 9 November Mike 9 on 24. Well, before we get too much further, let's look at it. Formerly Southwest Regional Spaceport, FAA licensed spaceport, 18,000 acres, state trust land, 45 north of Las Cruces and south of Truth or Consequences. Well, of course. Okay, so this is what the building really looks like. And in May of 21, this was where they launched Virgin Galactic's Spaceport Unity, okay? Designed and constructed specifically for commercial users. It had not been previously an airport or federal infrastructure of any kind. Interesting. And it is owned and operated by the state via a state agency called the New Mexico Spaceport Authority. Well, that's interesting because it does list, though, as a private field. Now, I wonder if we look at the entry for it, not to dox anybody. Okay, privately owned New Mexico Spaceport Authority, and there's the... Okay, so the Spaceport Authority is considered a private entity, so that's interesting. But yeah, it is literally where they do rocket launches. Pretty cool. Oh, they had a mock-up of the Virgin Galactic aircraft there. Cool. Yeah, wow, I really did not know anything about this place. Well, that's kind of fun that we incorporated it into our river run. All right, let's head back to the river, shall we? And we'll do one, maybe two more. You know, and what I'll do is I'll do maybe two more. We'll end at Las Cruces, and then these two here we'll just add to the beginning of the next itinerary, and we'll end up being we'll end up doing it one fewer episode than we had planned for.
Center and readable.
The Hatch Municipal, just to get a advanced read on it. Right click, open a new tab.
Center, are you back?
And that is a 4,100-foot paved 11 and 2.9er. I'm guessing 2.9er is going to end up being the preferred in terms of wind. Oh, maybe not. Wind is 170 there, 260 there, 080 there. Man, we just can't agree at all. 190 there. Well, we'll land on the eastbound runway here. And again, the reason I say that is because it makes it easier. We'll go south, we hit the river, and we'll just do a nice left downwind. So straight out departure, on course turn of about 200, and then when we see the river and the bridge here, left downwind, base, and final. Nothing listed here about a right pattern. It's there now, so we're good. Left pattern to runway 11. Alright, field elevation here is 4595, so we'll just say 4600. We'll get that calibrated. We'll get
center maintain a patch discussion 10,000.
10,000,
4600. Let's get our gyro calibrated.
Let me know when you get the weather and
we're parked at a 235.
Approach request, let me know.
No, we're only a couple degrees off there. We're going to depart on runway 16. Our on course is going to be 200, like I said.
1420 descend via the Stammer 3 arrival, the El Paso altimeter 3002.
And we'll get flaps.
Descend via the Stammer 3 altimeter in El Paso.
And trim set for departure.
3832 descend via the Stammer 3 arrival, the El Paso altimeter 3002.
And away we go. Oh,
Stammer 33002 for Southwest 30.
CTAF at Hatch is also 22.9er, so we'll just stay on 22.9er. Spaceport traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor is taxiing out for a runway 16 departure intersection from the main terminal taxiway. Spaceport. Instead of back taxiing all the way out to the beginning, we'll just take off from right from where we landed. I think we've got plenty of runway to do that with. Probes, landing lights, fuel pump, and Ito heat. Nobody coming? Nobody coming? You see anybody, Charlie? Okay. Spaceport traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor is departing now, runway 16 from the intersection main terminal taxiway, BFR south westbound.
Clipper
Spaceport.
7, roger. When able to clear out the Dale Hart VOR and
Alright, takeoff power coming at you.
Join the east arc, cross
Keep
Dale Hart VOR at or above.
Keep the center line, not too much wind here, so we're okay with that. 80 miles an hour.
Hold the truck, give me 1 second.
Lift her off. Keep the gear out until we're sure we're not going to need that pavement at all.
Clipper 7, you cross Dale Hartby or at about 5,700.
Very gently get that rudder rim put out.
7 approach to Dale Hart Airport.
There we are. Alright. Pavement's gone. Gear up. Flaps up.
Previous aircraft calling Albuquerque, say again.
2400 on the RPMs.
Target 2265, Albuquerque Center, line climate table
24 on the manifold. Start the gentle right turn to the 200 on course heading.
LA closed, right surface terminated, quick check approved.
Spaceport traffic, Comanche 5 for Delta Victor, clear runway 16 on the 45-degree right turn out, VFR south, westbound, spaceport. And fuel pumps. I'm going to spin the arrow around, so we're going to follow the green arrow as far as our intended on-course heading. And I think we said the runway heading at the destination was a 1-1. So when we get there, we're coming in kind of perpendicular, but I'll swing left. We'll do a 45-degree entry to a left downwind there. Good elevation hatch is 41. So we'll level it at 6 here. And the total distance 23, and we got airborne at about 22. So we figured about a 10-minute flight probably. Alright, there we are, arriving at 6,000. Level off. Use the power back. 2200 RPMs. 2200 manifold. 14 on the mix, gallons per hour. Overshot the level off, as I tend to do in this aircraft, because I'm concentrating on getting the power back. But once you level, it starts picking up speed so quickly that the added lift just shoots right in, and it'll keep climbing if you don't really aggressively trim down. And it's a weird aircraft. The trim knob, the trim handle is up there. The airspeed's coming up still, 140, 150. And while we're still 100 feet above our intended altitude, it's probably going to settle in nice and high, like 160-ish. You can see just the tip of the trim crank as I'm moving it. So what I'm inadvertently following is this road and railway down here. We can really kind of just take that straight into the river and then to the west. I think we'll do that just to be a little bit more faithful to what we're doing here, which is visual navigation. But 22 on the RPMs, 22 on the manifold, 14 on the mix. Still have plenty of fuel.
Albuquerque Center will be closing up at the top of the hour. The current time 0243 Zulu, closing 0300 Zulu.
Okay, 11 and 29er, 4,100 foot paved. And so if we're seeing this kind of zigzag in the railroad, then we are right here, and we're 11 miles north and east. Stenley 44 is here. How are you, Stenley?
no traffic observed between you and the Dale Hart Airport. Change your VATS frequency approved. Cancel I-4 with me in the air on the ground this frequency.
So we'll keep on as we're keeping on. Southbound until we hit the river. We'll make a right turn at Albuquerque. No, I'm just kidding. Make a right turn 80 miles south of Albuquerque, I guess.
Oscar 13 Victor.
Really closer to El Paso, Texas now than we are Albuquerque. I think this will be the river run that passes through the fewest number of states.
One arrival of the El Paso 3002.
Although let's think about it, the Columbia one, Washington and Oregon, was it only those two? Because the second season was the Susquehanna. That was New York, Pennsylvania, Maryland, and Virginia. So that was 4. This one will be Colorado, New Mexico, and Texas, so it'll at least be 3. The Mississippi was a bunch of them. Mississippi forms the border of so many states that, man, I'd be hard-pressed to name all the states that we touched on that one. 12, 14, maybe more. But yeah, I'm thinking back to that Columbia River. That might have been only Washington and Oregon now that I think about it. So once we are along the river, it's going to be time to descend 4,100 foot field elevation at Hatch. A little bit of 5,100 for our pattern altitude. Yeah, a little hill off to the right with some radio towers on it. Yep, I think I'm seeing that right. I would say we're 8 miles east. Matter of fact, we're less than 10 miles. I'm going to go ahead and start making some CTAF calls here. 22-9er, yep. Hatch traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor is about 8 miles east. We're at 5,900 descending. Entering a left downwind for runway 29er full stop Hatch. Well, there's a river. Is that the Rio Grande? It doesn't look very grand. Have a smaller tributary that comes off of it? Yeah, maybe. But no, I'm thinking that's got to be it. Seems like barely but a trickle. Yeah, so that's got to be the town of Hatch, and then the airport will be just west, like right in here somewhere. Alright, well, let's start losing some altitude then. Yeah, because I see all this splayed out before us. We got a bridge, and then the town, and then the airport. So maybe right in there. Kind of stay over the river. That should set us up in a decent position for our downwind.
With a 348 Albuquerque 1011.
Alright, I'm not 100% certain that I'm seeing the airport yet, but I do feel pretty confident that we're setting up where we should be for our downwind. So why don't we go ahead and start getting some predictions into the chat. as far as the descent rate on touchdown for our arrival. You can skip any bot command. You can go with just a number into the chat. You don't even need the minus sign. We know you need mean a descent rate either way. I think I see it. I think it's this right here. Could be wrong. Keep our eyes open, but I think that's it. Got another 300 feet to lose here. Again, you kind of want to be at pattern altitude before you're in the pattern, so that you're not coming down on top of somebody. But I would say that's our airport there.
Prep calling Albuquerque Center. I got 1/5, say again.
Hatch traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor's entering the left downwind runway 29er full stop hatch.
That's good. 13 Victor, still got 50 miles of airspace, but LA closed right there, stand ready to take change approved, yeah.
Alright, we're in
Center, not 1123, did you give me descent instructions?
here in flaps range. We're going to slowly spin the
not yet, but send me
the props up. Yeah, we're looking at the right thing, so it looks like maybe this little dark spot would be our turn in for our downwind, or I'm sorry, our downwind to base turn.
1420 contact El Paso approach 124.25.
Over to approach 12425, run through flight 1420, goodbye.
Looks like I've got the speed down a little early.
Aircraft calling Albuquerque Center, fly by 5.
Hatch traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor's left downwind to be numbers for the full stop runway 29er hatch.
Bearing 1365 Albuquerque.
Pump can come back on. I remembered it off and on this time. Holy cow, might be a first for the stream. Not quite on our 45 yet. I feel like I'm on a little bit of a wider base, though. I could maybe go ahead and turn in here. Hatch traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor's left downwind to left base, runway 29er for the full stop hatch. Yeah, I think this was good distance for a turn in, maybe even a little bit wide. Start that channel descent. Third and final notch of flaps in. Hatch traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor's left base to final, runway 29er full stop hatch. Looks like we're going to roll it all the way out to the end.
Center, say again? It was like a 1/5. Bearing 1365 Albuquerque.
Alright, last call if you don't have your number in already. You're a little on the late side. Oh, I've been saying 29. Shoot, I'm hatch traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor. Oh, we're landing runway 11, not 29er at hatch. 29 was the downwind heading, 11 is the runway heading.
Runway 21.
That's a rookie maneuver right there. Alright, we're crabbed over.
416.
Get some rudder.
Actually,
Some aileron.
Frontier 2047 is Envy to Stammer 3, arrival with Apple correction El Paso, altimeter 3002.
Envy December 3, Frontier Selection 47.
Fighting a bit of a crosswind and my own embarrassment there. Landing was okay though. Oh, gear was out. Plenty of time, Stanley. Gear was done. So where are we? I guess we can go either way. Oh, the banging is the normal gear sound on the pavement. That's just one of the Comanche sounds. Flaps, landing, strobe, pitot, and taxi light. Is this... Where are we going? Is this airport infrastructure, or are we just like driving to Las Cruces? Okay, there we go. He says, I got new headphones. I probably never heard it like this. Yeah. Comanche makes all kinds of fun sounds. How many puppies did I just kick there? Just one? Okay.
32 contact.
We can deal with that.
Approach 124.25.
Alright, we get the RPM down to 1,000. Need the mix out to where it starts to drop.
Flight 2416, descend with the
And,
Stammer 3, arrival at El Paso, altimeter 3002.
We get the flaps in also? Yeah, I think we did. Alright, very good. Okay, doke. So I was watching the radio calls that entire time. I had it in my head we were landing 29, which was dumb. Because we were flying westbound on the downwind, and then south, and then eastbound. So that's a 1-1. That's more like a 2-9 direction there.
And then that's fine, but got your climb maintain follow 340.
Oh, oops. Oh well. Anyway, in terms of the touchdown rate, registered nice and smooth.
3303, got your climb maintain follow 340.
No bounces, gotta love it. 7-knot crosswind, so we were kind of battling that just a little bit, but it turned out not to be too bad. You gotta discount the G's. And 50 was what registered there, 50.
564 Albuquerque, got you 5x5.
Numbers that came in for guesses were 73, 102, 43, 63. I guess it looks like Iowa Scotsman Scott Heisenberg edged out here just on the eyeball test.
124.25.
125.81, yeah, so it looks like 43 would be 7 away, while the 63 would be 13 away. So Iowa Scotsman takes it for Hatch Municipal. Echo 05 is the identifier. Four.
Clipper 7, welcome to the Alert. High for cancellation received. Thanks for flying, bye-bye.
Alright, what do we want to do? Las Cruces International.
1031, closing.
And yeah, so what I'll do is I'll do Las Cruces, and then these next two, we'll resume from Las Cruces on the next episode. And then Cielo Dorado, Donna Ana County, and then this is where we would have started that episode from. So then we'll resume from there. We'll kind of go through the El Paso area on that next one. But we'll end up here, Las Cruces, New Mexico. So one final trip. We'll go down the river.
United 1123 contact.
It'll be a little bit more than 26 miles if we follow the river versus the straight line distance.
4.25. Good night.
And
1123.
what is it looking like? 190 at 5. And what do we got in terms of an airport diagram there? So we can pull that up and have that ready to go. And it looks like if it's a 190, it looks like landing 22 would be more favorable.
31 Fox.
So that's what we'll plan on. We'll plan for a...
Technically, I would be handling all of that, but closing up shortly, so you can stay on you.
Come down the river and we'll make a right base. Kind of a little bit of a long right base, so it's going to end up being a little bit more of a straight in rather than a proper pattern entry on that one. 6 mile right base. But we'll go ahead and forgive ourselves for that one. All right, Hatch Municipal will depart runway 11 straight out to the river. We'll follow it down, and then a right base to runway. Well, that's now saying 220 at 6. We got a runway 22, so yep, 22 will be our preferred landing runway there. We're on 122.9 at Hatch. We're going to be on 122.7 at Las Cruces.
Marker 495 Albuquerque, San Hello, climate info 320.
Get the flaps and trim set for departure. We'll calibrate our field elevation. We said was right about 5,100 or 4,100 rather, and that is indeed what's showing, so we're good there. And let's calibrate our directional gyro. We appear to be parking about a 276. Back that up a few degrees to get that nice and calibrated. We're going to depart runway 11, and then our on course. Well, I'll just leave the arrow for 22 because that'll be our landing runway. Our on course is going to be basically straight out to the river. All right, we ready? There we go. There's our mouse cursor back. All right, one more hop tonight, friends. And we're gonna have to backtrack. Nah, you know what? Instead of backtracking the entire way, we'll just we'll depart runway 29er. Hatch traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor's departing runway 29er on the right downwind departure, VFR eastbound Hatch. Alright, fuel pump, pitot, landing lights and strobe light. Flaps and trim already set. Nobody on final. Nobody on final. Need for power. Take off power coming after you.
3067 Albuquerque, San Hello, climate info 330. Is 3303 LA closer, search terminate, fix change route, safe flight.
Alright, 80 miles an hour, up we go. A little bit of an off track to the right.
Forward closer, search terminate, fix change route.
Okay, done with the pavement, here coming up. The runner input out. A little smoother than that would have been preferred, but that's okay. Alright, and we got safe airspeed and altitude. Flaps are going to come in. Fuel pump can come off. Turn to the right crosswind. Hatch traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor clear, runway 29er on the right crosswind. We're going to join the river eastbound on the right downwind. Hatch. RPM's down to 24. Manifold to 24. Kind of doing a lazy turn here, but we'll go ahead and tighten it up, join the river.
With the 2047 contact up off approach 124.25.
Approach 2425.
And then field elevation at Las Cruces is 4,500 essentially. But we'll do 6,500. Now ordinarily you would think of 6,500 as a westbound VFR altitude, but because we're within 3,000 of the ground, we can kind of ignore those conventions. Within 3,000 of the ground, you can go whatever altitude you want. So it seems weird we're going 6,500 eastbound, but it's 2,000 AGL more or less. Just keep the river off the left side of the nose just so we can more easily see it. There's 5,500, still climbing at 105, which is kind of your ideal here. Keep the manifold up at 24, RPM at 24. Worry about the mix for right now. And I did get the fuel pump off, right? Okay, good. Another 400 to go. And I'll start this time. I'll start
RPM's 2416 contact up out approach 124.
RPM's to 22, manifold to 22, mix to 14. And since I started that early this time, we didn't overshoot the altitude. Now I can
495 closing up radius 78 quick change.
keep that trim coming in as the airspeed picks up, and we'll round it out right at
3067 closing up radius 78 quick change group traffic at your 12 o'clock about 5 miles, 12330 United. The 737 heading to Orlando. His cruise seems to be 330, not talking to him, so I wish you luck. Bye-bye.
Thank you. See you. Appreciate it.
At 564, closing radius of terminate quick change cruise.
Alright, thanks for
Okay, so we got it leveled out at 65. Airspeed's still kind of coming up, so we're still adding down trim little by little. 22 on the, let's get 22 on the RPMs tuned in. 22 on the manifold. 14 on the mix. And we are golden. And we do this final leg, 27 miles plus a little extra distance of 26, okay, pretty basically same thing. 26 miles plus a little extra distance because we're not following it quite straight line. So we'll call it 30 miles, so we're going to basically call it a 12-minute trip, and that will put us near the bottom of the hour when we wrap up, and that's good. That's what I aim for usually. 3.5 to 4 hour streams. We got done the itinerary at like 9 p.m., like 2 hours into the stream tonight, so working well ahead. It's like I had charted out this fourth season of River Run down the Rio Grande was going to be 13 episodes. Looks like I can trim it to 12. Shorter than the 19 that we did in the Mississippi, where, of course, there's a good reason for that. I don't remember exactly how many episodes the Columbia one was, but I feel like it was around 13, 14, something like that. And then I think 14 or 15 for the Susquehanna one. which of course we augmented by when the Susquehanna River joins the top of the Chesapeake, we followed the Chesapeake Bay all the way down to the Atlantic. So kind of a combination when that second season, Susquehanna and then the Chesapeake Bay. So a run at that point, really. A watch if we kept it in sight the entire time. Engine parameters all seem happy. Plenty of fuel left. And we did say runway 22 was going to be our runway of choice at Las Cruces. Yeah, and this is another one, like the pattern entry, the proper pattern entry for 2-2 from the position we're coming in from would be pretty convoluted. So it's definitely a hack that we're going to do it as a extended right base. But it's VATSIM, we can get away with it. There's plenty of stuff, you know, like I say, there's plenty of stuff that we water down on this stream for entertainment purposes, and you guys know that I'm not a real-world pilot. I try to do things as realistically as possible, but within certain limitations, and at least when I'm doing something dumb, I at least try to point it out. I tell you what, the biggest two, descending into the traffic pattern. I do that all the time. That is a huge safety no-no there. I think I need to be, the river's coming around the west side or the left side of that left side of that ridge. So I guess if we're going to follow it, we're going to follow it around here. I guess this is probably Robledo Mountain. Arrow says, I'd fly right with you, IRL. I appreciate the confidence. Like I said, I am normally conscious of what I'm doing contrary to real-world procedure. And choosing to do so intentionally. Or out of, you know, entertainment purposes, i.e. glossing over stuff that's not terribly important to the stream, to the story. Or I'm just too lazy to do, too time consuming to do properly. You know, or especially in stuff like this, it doesn't matter on VATSIM when there's no one around. But I at least try to say something about it. I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to model bad habits, you know. I try to model good habits for the most part. Yeah, but every now and then I get lazy. And then at least, like I said, I try to at least describe what I should be doing. The other one, so that's the one thing, is I descend into the traffic pattern. In reality, at these non-towered fields, and that's the thing, on VATSIM, there's hardly ever any traffic at these non-towered fields except for me and the handful of folks that are flying along with me. And, you know, when you guys do that, you're well aware of where I am. And can make sure that you don't hit me. And if you did hit me, it wouldn't be that bad because none of us are going to die from that. In a real-world non-towered airport, you are going to have other traffic. And so you're going to be a lot more diligent than I am about A, being at traffic pattern altitude prior to becoming into the vicinity of the airport, and B, entering that traffic pattern in a more standard manner so that you're not inadvertently cutting someone else off in that pattern, either in a safety consideration or just an etiquette consideration. Both, really. But anyway, if there's another big bad habit that I have as a sim pilot, and this one is kind of not my fault, but it is the habit of neglecting to listen to the identifiers when we tune a new VOR station. And you would think, considering my channel is all centered around the process of radio-based navigation, you would think that would be one thing that I'm really a stickler about, since it's the principle by on which the channel is centered, it is focused. However, I've not been in a good habit with that because so many of the sims don't model the functionality very well. So I've just, 40 years of simming, most of the time it doesn't really work. I stopped bothering with it, and then I've just over the years forgotten that it's a thing. I don't even know, we could try to see if it would even work in this sim right now. 1086 Deming VOR, we can try it. Just for S's and G's, 1086. Swap it. 39.3 miles away. And where is even the button to do that? I guess it's here. Yeah, I'm not hearing anything. You guys hear it? Is it just coming in too faint? Or is it just not happening at all? Do I have the volume? Does the volume for that have to be up? I feel like we should be hearing that. I mean, is it a matter of me having to turn that up? Yeah, I don't know. So there you go. Perfect example of why I have not been bothering with it. Anyway, so let's just detune that just so I can use my arrow as the reference for the runway like I have been. Anyway, and all that yammering on, I've lost track of where we are. We got a pretty substantial highway coming off. Oh, this is our airport right here, isn't it? Yeah, okay. Alright, so what's the CTAF there? 22.7. Let's flip it over. And we're on what I'll call a 5-mile final for runway 22. Yeah, so what would we even do at this point to make a proper... I mean, I've got a lot of altitude to lose. Las Cruces traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor, about 5 miles south, I'm sorry, northeast. We're going to do a overflight down the 22 center line, northeast to southwest, and then we'll maneuver for pattern entry into runway 22, Las Cruces. Actually, we're lined up for 26 right now. let's just. Okay, what's the LRU? 220 at 6, yeah. So we still want runway 22. Let's do it this way. Let's do it this way. There's nobody crossing underneath of us for final. Las Cruces traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor is, we're going to call it about 2 miles north and east, 6,400 descending. We're going to do an offset upwind 22, and then we'll just join a left closed traffic for runway 22 Las Cruces. That's about the safest way I can think to do it. I don't know. So we're going to be offset on the upwind side. I guess if you're going to descend into the traffic pattern, on the side where the traffic pattern isn't is the place to do that. And then once we're level with traffic pattern, we'll scan the horizon, make sure there's nobody, you know, like departing off the runway, turning crosswind, and then we'll turn crosswind. There. What do we want? We want 5,500, basically 5,600. Yeah, we're looking good here. Definitely still want to be descending. We'll make sure we're out on a reasonable departure leg, and then we'll turn crosswind, and we'll just make sure we're not coming in behind. You know, if we see anybody in the pattern there, we'd come in behind them. 56. Alright, there we go. Now, scanning the horizon. Nobody here in the pattern. Nobody coming off the runway into the pattern. Las Cruces traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor's on the offset upwind 22. We're going to turn left crosswind and join left closed traffic for 22 for the full stop Las Cruces. That seems reasonably safe to me. I don't know how textbook that was, but, you know, whatever. Best guess. I think center did close up. I knew he said he was going to. I never heard his final call, or maybe he just handed everyone off individually. We'll go back to monitoring the guard frequency in COM 2. Okay, so now we're in that left crosswind. Don't see any other traffic in the pattern. We are at pattern altitude at 5,600. So I feel reasonably good about what we're doing now. We're on a left crosswind, and we'll be turning left base here as soon as I feel like we've achieved a good distance from the airport. Las Cruces traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor's left crosswind to left base, now runway 22 with a full stop. Las Cruces. Alright, you want to keep your lateral distance to the airport within glide. In case this engine were to suddenly quit unexpectedly, we want to be able to make sure we can make it to pavement. And again, it kind of feels like I'm turning in toward the airport here. Remember, this is our arrival runway, not the main one alongside the hangars. This one here. This one's here. This one going out that way is the one we want to make sure we're perpendicular to right now. Shouldn't be descending just yet. can be bringing the speed back, getting our first notch of flaps in. Las Cruces traffic. Comanche 514 Delta Victor's left downwind midfield, runway 22 full stop, Las Cruces. Alright, right at the top of the white arc. Flaps. Here. You guys can start putting some predictions into the chat in terms of the descent rate upon the wheels touching runway surface. No bot command necessary on this channel for that. Just a number into the chat, positive or negative, and represents the feet permitted at the moment the wheels touch. And whoever's closest gets an automatic entry into our monthly landing rate raffle, which we will pull toward the end of this month. Las Cruces traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor's left downwind to left base, runway 22 full stop, Las Cruces. Second notch of flaps is in, gear is down and green. And I feel like I'm a little high and I'm a little tight in on the base. I'm going to drop some power. Turn coming around right onto the final. Las Cruces traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor's on a base to final, left base to final, with a full stop, runway 22, Las Cruces. Last call, guys. We're getting lined up on final here. Probably overshot the turn just slightly, but I'm sure we got time to come back and get it. Ooh, or we'll just roll out right on right. One or the other. Alright, final notch of flaps in. We got some excess speed. We're a little bit high, but I feel like at our current descent rate, that first set of lights is going to go red any second now. And then we'll slowly walk the throttle back and bring the speed down. There's our reds. A little bit of a nudge to the right, so that left wing down, touch of right rudder. Overcorrected that because I'm right of center line. Yeah, we skimmed that one a little bit. Never got the fuel pump on. Well, fuel pump's now on. Yeah, I skimmed that one a little bit, kind of expected I would. Was fiddling around with the crosswind correction at the last minute. But overall, happy with it. Alright, flaps. Road, landing, pitot, and fuel pump. Las Cruces traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor, clear of runway 22. We are going to be crossing runway, what is it, 26 in toward the terminal. Las Cruces. .30, got a few minutes to wrap up. Yeah, I think that's a good time frame. So we got a couple of extra stops in tonight, and then be able to consolidate the last two into next episode ahead. Let's just do a real quick check. Didn't hear anybody on comms coming in for 26 or 8, but doesn't mean there weren't any. Since this looks like a nice fancy building over here, that's where we'll go. Las Cruces traffic, Comanche 514 Delta Victor is now clear of our runways, Las Cruces. Hey! You cut me off. Beep beep. Give him the Jersey salute there. I'm taxiing here. Make sure we don't drag our tip tank across the side of the building. That'd be less than ideal. We clear on that side, Charlie? Alright, thank you, buddy. Appreciate all your hard work and help. Okay, parking brake is on. Let's real quick run through the shutdown, and then I will talk about that final landing rate entry. And so obviously we got the RPMs down to 1,000. We want to lean the mix out to the point where it starts to drop, so we're good right there. We can go ahead and grab all the radios first of all. 2, 3, and 4, and the avionics switch. I'm going to do a real quick. We're going to run it just to 1500, and we'll do what we call a live mag check. You want to make sure that the magneto switch does indeed help power to the mags. Okay, good there. That having been done, we'll go ahead and pull mix to throttle all the way down, and then mix to cutoff. Mags can come off the rest of the way. Nav, beacon, and battery. And we'll go ahead and get the door unlatched and open. Meantime, we want to do our fuel selectors and our control lock, and we'll go ahead and head on out of the plane. So Charlie can hop out first of all, and then we'll do our quick walk around. We're not inspecting anything at this point, we're just securing the aircraft, so that includes the tie downs and shocks. Yeah, pitot tube cover. Final tie down in the last position. And then here we'll go ahead and grab our baggage and equipment out. Whoops. And we'll go ahead and close that up. Back into the aircraft. And of course we would be outside of the aircraft as we close and latch the door, but there we go. That away. Alright, let's figure out who our final entrant for our landing rate raffle for month of February is, and I say the final entrant just for tonight's stream, I should clarify. Nice closing shot going here for you in the meantime. Yeah, that's a nice picturesque. If I can get it level, that'd be even better. Wish there was an automatic leveler on the drone cam. I mean, I can re-level it behind the aircraft, but then I lose all the lateral positions as well. I gotta do this all again. There we go. Alright, that's nice. I like that. Hopefully you guys do too. Alright, let's figure out who our winners were for the winner or winners. I presume there could be more than one, right? We always say if there's a tie, whether there's one above or one below, or whether two of you end up on the same number, of course we'll always award more than one if we need to. We'll see if that's necessary today. The winner of 73. Again, disregard the G's that's skewed by the external flight model. 5 knot, mostly straight headwind. And as I did call it at the time, I said, yeah, I think we skimmed a little bit there, so there. It did indeed register a minor bounce there. 73, though, was the number that came down. That's going to be a win for Iowa Scotsman. He's going to pick up a double entry on that one since he got it dead on. A couple of you were real close, too, but Iowa Scotsman was the only one You hit it dead on that one. So we'll get you 2 entries here for Las Cruces. Kilo Lima Romeo uniform. 2 in a row and a dead on. Yeah, so that gets you 3. That's a hat trick there, Iowa Scotsman. And where are we? I just said it. KLRU. KLRU on 2-4. And let me write all that stuff again. Iowa Scotsman. KLRU on 2-4. Alright, well that'll wrap it up, guys. We got a lot further than we intended to on our river run down the Rio Grande and our A2A Simulations Comanche this evening. We did episode 4 and we did most of the itinerary for episode 5, so I'll do some consolidating here and we'll pick up from Las Cruces here on our very next episode. I don't have it on the schedule yet, so it's not like I need to adjust too much language, but will be a little bit of a realignment in the remaining itinerary as I have it sketched out, hopefully finished by the end of 2025. But thanks for joining us. I hope that y'all enjoyed riding along with us for that this evening. We will be back with you on Friday. And I did say earlier, I know we've been on a real haphazard stream schedule for the last few months, November, December, January, and now February. However, coming into March, you can start expecting us to be on Tuesdays and Fridays every week, I think. So we'll be back on a normal stream schedule starting in March. The rest of the February schedule is going to be a little bit more haphazard than that, so do check the full show schedule underneath the About tab or over on our Discord server to see what we're going to be up to, when we're going to be on, what days we're going to be on, and what type of stream we're going to be doing. We do mostly general aviation flying. We do a little bit of bizjet and vintage airliner as well as modern airliner flying, so we do a little bit of a mix. General aviation is always the focus, though, and our main central topic of the channel is that old school radio-based analog style of navigation. So you won't see too many aircraft on the channel, or at least you won't see the use of any kind of RNAV capability, a flight management computer, GPS, inertial nav system, that sort of stuff. We do break that mold every now and then, so again, check the show schedule to see what you can expect there to be on any given evening. On Friday, though, we're going to switch things up even worse than that, and we're going to be doing some VATSIM air traffic control for the Northeast Corridor event. I am a approach and departure rated controller in the Washington ARTCC on VATSIM, and here indeed is the Northeast Corridor Friday Night Ops event. We're featuring Boston, we're featuring New York, we're featuring Washington, D.C. Logan and LaGuardia and DCA will be the 3 featured fields, but I can almost guarantee you will see some additional staffing over and above those airports, and of course all the TRACON and en route positions that we can manage to staff in between as well. So Friday night, 7 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time is the start time for that, so look for us then. I expect that I will end up on the Chesapeake sector of the Potomac TRACON, which is that sector that covers the Baltimore-Washington airspace, also handles some of the arrivals, the pieces of some of the arrivals into DCA. So I expect that's where I'll end up, because that's the only piece of Potomac that I'm certified for. However, they might stick me down at Raleigh if they have enough staffing to cover Potomac without me, or they might need me on a local position, maybe at DCA. So we'll see. We'll see what the event coordinator says. I think we're supposed to find out sometime in the next 24 hours what our positions assignments are going to be for that, and I'll try to let you guys know so that you have some expectations and you can formulate your itineraries around it if you want to be part of the stream. Whoops, in that regard. But we'll let you know as best as we can. But Friday at 7 is when you can expect us to be on doing some VATSIM air traffic control for VAT USA's Northeast Corridor Friday Night Ops event, an annual signature winter event here in the northeastern area of the United States on VATSIM. If you guys are new to VATSIM, you are considering getting on the network, but you need some assistance figuring out how to put routes together, what the state of controllers how to pick a appropriate call sign, equipment code, how to file your flight plan. We've got a playlist called VATSIM Tutorials. It's all over on our YouTube channel. On the lower left-hand side of your screen is where you'll find the link to that, and a playlist on that called VATSIM Tutorials. So please feel free to check that out. Any questions you have about any of that material, you can ask right there in the comments on those, or if you want to again, track us down on that Discord server. The Discord server, as I mentioned, is where our full show schedule is published, but it's also a pretty good community of the live stream enthusiasts, and we all kind of are a very chill group of helpful aviation folks. So if you're new to the hobby and you're looking for some guidance, advice, or just need a safe space to ask dumb questions, that's where it is. Right over there on our Discord server. Go ahead and bring it. We're okay with that. Not maliciously so, but if you have some genuine questions about getting started in the hobby, don't be afraid to ask. Across the bottom of the screen, you've been seeing the ads for Flight Sim Expo. It's a 3-day event that's happening in June 27th through 29th, right? 27, 28, and 29, up in Providence, Rhode Island. So for the very first time, it'll be the 6th one, and it'll be the first time that Flight Sim Expo will be up in the northeastern U.S. So looking forward to that. Since it's drivable from my location, I am going to be taking my ATC and streaming rig, so you will be seeing me streaming live air traffic control on VATSIM from the show floor, more or less the entire weekend. I am also going to be giving one of the seminars as one of the featured speakers again this year. So we're going to be doing some VATSIM myth debunking during that presentation, so hope that you'll join us for that. And again, if you're not able to be up there in person, there's plenty of online attendance options, and of course you can tap in on the live streams for the folks that are there at the show, live streaming from it. But and then there's a very, very reasonable fee to see the show's presentations and speakers and that sort of stuff, those panel discussions and whatnot that the show puts on. Small fee for that, but a very reasonable one, so you can attend in a virtual sense if you're not able to be out there. But hope that you can come. It's a fantastic time. In addition to being a 3-day event where they unveil products and they have all kinds of displays for pretty much every flight simulation hardware and software product you can think of, it's really, 2,500 people that are all into flight sims. So a lot of instant new friends out there if you can make it. 27 through 29 of June 2025 at the Rhode Island Convention Center, Providence, Rhode Island. Flashing through the chatbots. On that Saturday night, guys, if you're familiar with our very good friend of the stream, Mustafa, who does flight simulation stream here on Twitch as well, and once a month he does a what he calls Moose After Dark karaoke stream once a month on his stream. And he loves to sing during his flights too, but once a month he does a stream that's nothing but karaoke. We're going to do a live version of Moose After Dark during Flight Sim Expo, Saturday the 28th, 9 to midnight, got to be 21, and limited space is available for that. So if you're definitely going to be at Flight Sim Expo and you're pretty certain you want to be at our live Moose After Dark, you don't have to sing. You just have to come and enjoy. But if you're going to almost certainly be in Providence and available on that Saturday night, 9 to midnight, want to attend that, there's the link that I just put up in the chat is what you need to go to. Moose is collecting all the potential attendees. We've got limited space. Hopefully we can fill that space, but if we have more potential attendees, then we've got space where we might have to do some sort of a drawing. So just let us know, Moose and myself know, with that Google form there, that link that I've just put into the chat, that you're interested in attending that Saturday night event up in Providence. And we will figure out how we're gonna dole out the attendance spaces from there. So really going to be a great time. It is a karaoke themed venue that we've rented out, that it's really close. It's within walking distance, and I don't know anything about the safety of that area. It's a pretty touristy area. I assume it's fine, but you do need to take your own precautions there, and don't take my advice on that. But very, very close. If it's not walkable, it would be a very, very short and very, very inexpensive cab ride or Uber ride from the Flight Sim Expo venue. But anyway, going to be a great time, 9 to midnight on that Saturday, the 28th of June. And hopefully you'll be able to attend the conference, and hopefully if you attend the conference, you'll also be able to attend that karaoke event. So we are looking forward to both of those things, and fingers crossed that you guys can, as many of you guys as possible, can join us for that. All right, I think that'll wrap us up. Who are we going to send this raid over to. Oh, yeah. Hang on 1 second. Eisenberg, put yourself in for one of those entries into our Super Bowl pool. I'll save one more time real quick, guys. So we got our landing rate raffle, which you saw Iowa Scotsman kind of speak the last half of that. We've got the Alphabets raffle. We normally would do the Alphabets raffle drawing toward the end of the month of January. However, we postponed. You've still got the rest of this stream and the early part of Friday's stream to get your entries into our Alphabets raffle. Instead of drawing that out of a hat on Friday, we're going to draw that into a 10x10 grid. And that's going to be a Super Bowl pool style selection. So we'll have 5 winners for the month of January, the Alphabets Points raffle. To enter that, the chat panel at the bottom of the bottom of the chat panel, you got the Alphabets Points. You got the option to cash in 2,000 points for 1 entry or 10,000 points for 6. We'll get you 2,000 for 1, 10,000 gets you 6 for the price of 5, and we'll put those all onto a 10x10 grid. No, I'm gonna pull the grid locations out of the fishbowl. So yeah, you won't get to choose your squares. Your squares will be chosen randomly, auto-generated by a paper and pen process, as is everything on this channel. So yeah, get your entries in for that. Iowa Scotsman's got another handful of entries. Cobra's got an entry in. Heisenberg, you got 9 squares, and what we're gonna do, we're gonna have probably 150 or so entries for that. Yeah, slant generated indeed. So I'll draw the first 100, and then we'll put all the tickets back into the fishbowl, and then we'll double assign as many as it takes to cover everyone's entries. And if one of the double assigned spaces wins, instead of making you split that prize, I will just award 2. So up to 5 winners. Well, it'll be 5 winners for sure, because it'll be 1 at the end of each quarter, and then 1 for the end of the game. If the game ends in regulation, then that last person wins twice. If the game ends in overtime, then it's 5 different winners potentially. But if any of those spaces are double assigned, then that means it's potentially up to 10 winners on Sunday. So Friday will be the day that we spread all that stuff out into the 10x10 grid. So let me get these 2 entries in. And so you want to be here for that ATC stream on Friday. And in addition to doing our air traffic control services, we will get that grid all sorted out. All right. All right, well, that'll do it, guys. Who are we going to send this raid over to, huh? It looks like our friend Stu is still doing some VATSIM air traffic control over in Indy Center, so we'll shoot you over to him if you want to get a preview as to what VATSIM air traffic control is all about. We'll go ahead and get you a taste of it right now. Our very good friend Stu, STW222, is doing Indianapolis Center on the network right now, so we'll shoot you over to him and hope that you enjoy his stream, and then we will see you from a very similar looking screen on Friday, 7 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. In the meantime, have a great rest of your week. Hope that you'll be happy, healthy, and safe in all of your travels and adventures between now and then, as we sign off live from Studio 5 just outside of Ocean City, Maryland. Guys, we'll see you Friday. Take care.